Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Last American Pubcast, the only podcast where everybody knows your name. I'm your host, PJ Williams. I also do Conspiracy Pilled with Abby Libby, who's here with us tonight. We also have Tom from America Floats and Frank of Let's Be Frank.
Hello.
And, of course, we have a wonderful guest for you guys tonight, Radix Verum? Am I saying this wrong again? Verum?
No,
Radix.
you got it.
How are you doing? Welcome to the Pubcast.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, so real quick, do you want to tell people a little bit about yourself, who you are, what you do, all that good stuff?
Yeah, sure. I am an investigative journalist, independent journalist. I've been writing articles, researching, producing content, making videos, talking about anything that interests me for about the past 5 years now. I'm on Substack. I have a YouTube channel. I'm on Locals now, too, which I really like. Hopefully I'll get myself on Rumble soon. And I kind of look at things through like an investigative lens, like somebody that worked in law for 10 years. I was a paralegal. So I kind of focus on a lot of court cases. And right now, the big thing I've been looking at is the Whitmer Fednapping hoax.
Yeah, it's perfect. It's something as myself and Tom are both in Michigan. It's something we've paid a lot of attention to, and I'm sure Tom's talked about it on his channel as much as I've talked about it.
Yeah, I tried to plan it, but they were ahead of me. So
yeah, beat you to the punch, man. So what's going on with that trial currently?
Okay, so there's a lot going on with it. I'm not even sure where to begin, but I'll say that the guys, there's 6 guys that were charged federally. They were arrested in October of 2020. So it was right before the election. I got to be really careful what I say.
Also
I know.
conveniently right after Whitmer made national news for killing a bunch of old folks.
Yes, exactly. That's right. And from what I've heard talking to people in Michigan, everybody hated her. Like no one liked her. So there were a lot of very angry people there. There were a lot of other things going on at the time. And I think that there were just a group of guys that were taken advantage of. There was a militia group called the Wolverine Watchman, a small group of maybe 15 to 30 men. And so they were charged federally, 6 of them. They went to trial in March of 2021. 2 of them were basically coerced into taking plea deals. 4 went to trial. 2 men were acquitted. They were found not guilty by a jury. The first jury then declared a mistrial as it related to Barry Croft and Adam Fox, the remaining 2 defendants. So they retried them. And at the retrial, basically what happens is you no longer have the element of surprise. The prosecutors knew what their argument was going to be. And they just kind of said things like, well, yeah, we did use, a network of 12 informants and 2 undercover agents, but it was a good thing. We did it to protect democracy. That kind of thing.
Right,
and it really, it should have been harder to convict them on the retrial because now you have to prove these 2 guys conspired together. Adam Fox, who was a homeless man living in the basement of a vacuum repair shop, and Barry Croft, who was a truck driver living in Delaware.
Wow. Sounds like a strong case.
You're telling me that the FBI was not protecting the governor at this time?
Yeah, right.
It sounds like a big grooming case to me.
No, at no point was the governor ever in danger. That should be clear to everybody. Right. It was the FBI that planned everything, including the night recon trip that they conned these guys into going to, where they had no idea where they were going. They were just told to get in the car. We're going for a ride. Out of 5 people in the vehicle, 3 of them are working for the FBI. Only 2 aren't, and they're like in the back seat.
Now, could it be? Could it be that they? Sorry, PJ, go ahead.
Go ahead. You got it.
Nope.
I was just gonna make a joke. I was gonna say it's kind of like that spider meme where everybody's pointing at each other, going, "No, you're the Fed."
Yes, this is exactly what it is. Oh my god. And throughout the entire thing, too. I mean, that's just one example. But arguably it should have been harder to prove. However, they knew what the argument was going to be. And it's a different jury. The judge did a lot of things in the retrial that was just insane. limiting the defense's ability to cross-examine witnesses, cutting their time to 20 minutes while giving prosecutors unlimited time, denying exculpatory evidence from being, presented to a jury. So if they made statements that were exculpatory in nature, saying things like, I'm not okay with kidnapping, we're not effing black bagging politicians, this is defensive training, not offensive. Those statements were not allowed to be shown to the jury, and the government basically cherry picks the little sound bites, right? And then they string together a narrative. And I really want people to so just to quickly go back to what you were saying, though, what is happening is those two guys were convicted. They're sitting in prison right now. There were two men that were acquitted, but there are several state cases going on. People are being charged with providing material support for terrorism. So what that is one guy let them train on his property. Joe Morrison was supposed to be the leader of the group, but he actually wasn't. He didn't really have anything to do with the group. Dan Chappell, their lead informant, was the one running the group, which is obvious from the mountains of evidence and discovery that has come out. But they're still charging them with things. Paul Bellar, Pete Musico, they're also defendants in the state case, which is happening right now and is actually being televised on YouTube. You can watch it on Judge Wilson's YouTube channel if you want to watch, which is so fascinating because federal court can't be televised. And so, if you wanted to listen in and follow that, you had to attend in person or you had to call in on a public access line, which is, you don't get to see people, right? Now, with the state case, we've gotten to see some of these FBI agents that were involved in egregious misconduct. The three lead agents did not testify at the federal trial because they knew better, but they are at the state trial, which is very interesting to me. And I think it suggests that they believe that because they got the conviction in the retrial, they can kind of use that to pretend that this was a thing when we all know it wasn't.
Right.
Now,
yeah.
Going back to that point just for a second, when you had said that the FBI was leaving out some exculpatory statements and evidence and other things to make it easier to railroad them.
Yes, the judge went along with that. Yeah.
And there was nothing written up about that at the time because it's not public because, like you said, you have to call in to hear that and you don't see people. Is that how we're to understand it?
It was a little bit reported on, but not really. I mean, the media, the mainstream media reported on the initial arrest and they ran with the story that these were like Trump supporters, right-wing extremists, white supremacists. None of that is true. These guys were at BLM protests in support of them, so that it's not like the way they've characterized their political beliefs is just insane. It is nothing. It's not based in reality. But after the, reporting on the initial arrest, they didn't want to report much on what came out through discovery through the legal process, which was all of this information about FBI misconduct. There were some people that did report on it, like BuzzFeed did some articles on this, and they even said, well, yeah, like maybe the FBI kind of helped instigate this a little bit, but these guys are still crazy. You know what I mean?
Like, didn't they try to get him on a Didn't they try to get him on an IOU for a bomb they didn't want? I mean, basically, there's a FBI guy that was like, "Hey, here's a bomb. You guys want to buy a bomb? It's $5,000." And they're all like, "Yeah, well, I'm homeless. I'm broke. I'm a truck driver.
They didn't want it.
Like, we don't really want it. So get you off our case. We'll just,
not much I can do with that bomb. Sorry."
Yeah, and they were like, "Well, we'll just give it to you, and you can pay us later." And they're like, "Well, no."
Is it your opinion that the judge in the case was intimidated by the FBI or just a corrupt judge in general?
No. It's my opinion as somebody that has, spent 10 years in the legal system that the entire thing is like this, from the top down, from the bottom up. It's all corrupted. It's all a racket. It exists to perpetuate itself and fund itself, just like any other, like the intelligence agencies that we now have 17 different intelligence agencies. The FBI engages in this behavior to justify their own existence, to get larger budgets, to take more of our rights away. They're doing it right now with their launching of a war on domestic terror and saying that, MAGA Republicans are the biggest threat to the country. They're a bigger threat than the foreign threat. What does that mean, right?
The
We all
FBI is
know-
even going after people over the whole FACE Act thing now. So they're going after anybody who's in front of these abortion clinics saying, hey,
Yes.
let me pray for you. So there's a huge weaponization going on. And I see people
Yes.
saying Alex Jones precedent. I mean,
Yep.
kind of, but it's also like it's been going on before that.
Way before that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So this is easier to get away with maybe because it's also more believable. I mean, like you said at the
Yeah.
onset, people in Michigan hate their governor currently and can't wait to get rid of her, so much so that even maybe polls are showing that. Is it not that also right before the election, in a year where people hated their governor, it would almost be believable when
Yeah.
you just hear the basic headline that, hey, a group of guys set out to try to get her. You'd be like, huh, no one from my hometown, but I'm not surprised.
Yeah,
That's what hit
exactly.
every, like my office said the same thing. They were like, well, that's not good and we don't condone it, but geez, I'm not surprised.
But it's
And
not
if that was,
surprising.
so that's why
Right.
the FBI can pull it off and get away with it because they can almost get you because it is a believable thing when you're that hated.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. It's just, the entire thing is so ridiculous and it's so messed up. But I think that now we're at a point, though, where people are starting to see and understand how corrupt the FBI is. I just wish people understood that they've been that way for a very long
Right.
time. They've
They were
been
created that way.
Yes, exactly. They've always been that way. They've always been political. They're never, the good guys. And it's funny because the FBI has a public relations department, right? So they have trademarked their logo and their acronym. So if Hollywood wants to do a show, right, about using the FBI jackets or a badge or even saying FBI, they have to coordinate with the FBI with a media liaison who has to review the script and give approval for it and basically gets control of how the agency is portrayed in the media, which was something that was set up under J. Edgar Hoover. That was his idea because he was an obsessive man and he was very concerned about maintaining a certain kind of image for them while at the same time running cover for the mafia.
Is that the
And,
creation of the
wearing women's underwear, but
That's
but hey,
Yeah.
is that what you're referring to? The CAA, the best kept secret in Hollywood that they all coordinate and orchestrate with intelligence?
All of them do. Yeah. The CIA has the same thing as well. They all have these little liaison offices, and there are films that are such obvious propaganda, right? Like the Zero Dark 30. They're presenting a narrative, whether it's for the military or the CIA or the FBI. Yeah, that's what they do. But you legally can't, though. You couldn't make a TV show and include the FBI or talk about the FBI and use their logo or the acronym FBI without getting this approval because they've trademarked it like it's a business.
Well, it probably is. They
It
see it
is.
as one. It was one in the 80s.
It obviously is.
that seems apparent with the federal government trying to block the purchase of Twitter, because he's not buying it from the people on Twitter. He's actually having to buy it from the CIA. So
Yes, exactly.
I love this stuff because there's certain things that you talk about, and if you talk about them too early, everybody calls you crazy, and they just kind of pretend that they didn't do that. And what I'm hearing from you, and what's becoming apparent, the more that all this stuff comes out, and people are actually waking up to what the FBI is, that COINTELPRO never ended. It wasn't a conspiracy theory, and
Correct.
Project Mockingbird is absolutely a real thing.
And-
For people that don't know, that is the idea that the CIA and the FBI actually influence Hollywood and movies and media.
Yes.
And the third
exactly.
one can be that DARPA is all social media.
Yes.
That the bots is
DARPA
just
created
DARPA.
LifeLog,
Total
which
information
turned into
awareness.
Facebook. Yeah.
Yeah, so-
Exactly.
the FBI head of that field office out in Michigan, Detroit, where it was taking place, isn't that the same head now that was sent to DC to oversee January 6th? Was that the same individual?
Yes, Stephen D'Antuono. He was promoted. He was head of the Detroit field office at the time. And what's interesting about that is during April, April of 2020, the guys in the Wolverine Watchman were attending a rally at the Capitol in Michigan at Lansing. And this was an lockdown rally, I believe.
Okay.
But they, people were showing up armed. It was also kind of like maybe a 2A thing. But their informant was there, and he's, wearing a wire. He's providing real-time intelligence to a team of federal agents that are listening in. And so what happens is he says something like, oh, I think these guys are going to do something. And the FBI calls the Michigan Capitol Police and tells them, stand down, open the doors to the Capitol, and they let everybody in. And so there's photo ops that are then taken by the media. There are pictures of the Wolverine Watchmen there. They're all armed. They're standing inside the Capitol. They got the photo op that they wanted, that they believed would assist them in their terrorism enterprise investigation. And, think about that. If you're running a terrorist investigation and you're trying to claim that this group is dangerous or violent, getting a picture of them, armed in tactical gear inside the state capitol is a perfect opportunity. So that was Deanne Tuono.
Can I ask, before we move on though, can I ask you a question about that?
Yeah, sure.
Real quick. Do you know the date of when that was?
April 30th.
April
2020.
2020. Yeah.
that
I was
during the
there.
lockdown.
I should go look through my
You
phone.
guys
I should
there?
go look
Oh
at
my
all the.
God.
I was inside the
FBI
Capitol,
there
like,
too.
no big
Shit.
deal. When I got home,
Everybody
my
went in.
fiance was like,
Nothing
"You were on the
happened."
news."
That's
Yeah.
funny because I was there as well, and it was before me and Tom knew each other. And I was going to say it was, if
That
they're
was
trying to
so
make this like
funny.
a radical, like violent thing about January, link it to January 6th. It was the most
No,
peaceful.
it was the precursor to
Yeah,
it.
it was
Right.
precursor, which I was at January 6th. So
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
The
is
reaction
they're-
that the state media had about that day
That's what
was
I'm
why
saying.
I thought I'm not going to go to the Capitol for the 6th because I saw how they reacted when we were inside the little old state Capitol
Oh,
building.
wow.
Right.
Okay. So what's interesting about that is these guys followed the COVID protocols too. They had their temperature taken and everything before they even went
Before
in.
they even
Like
walked
the
in?
idea that they
Wow.
were like storming the building or something was just ludicrous. They were, but they just stood in line. Like they got their temperature checked. They're like, okay, thanks guys. They just kind of walked in, meandered around. The media took pictures and then they left. But also present that day was Adam Fox, who was not part of their group at that time, but he was there, and he is the kind of person that is a big talker. So he's there running his mouth. And I think what happened was that the FBI either caught him on video or saw pictures of him and said, that guy, that's going to be our patsy. Befriend him and somehow bring him into the group. And so their main informant, Dan Chappell, did befriend him, did bring him into the group. But this caused problems in the Wolverine Watchman because there were many people who didn't like him and said, if he joins the group, we're leaving. This guy's crazy, and he's homeless and stuff. Like the whole thing is just so ridiculous. But yeah, that was I think what happened was they saw that they could use that, right? They saw how that worked for them in Michigan, and they did the same thing in January. We all know what event I'm talking about, where they told the police to stand down. There wasn't a police presence really, and
they
open the
magnetic
doors and let people in and create a bottleneck by closing off certain parts of the city. I live in the Beltway. I know what happened that day. They claimed that there were pipe bombs. And so they closed off certain roads and they created a literal bottleneck. So anybody that was coming in there, you're going like this, like you're getting pushed up. Once they started putting out the flashbangs and stuff, everybody went crazy and there was nowhere else to go. You can't go behind you because other people are coming in that direction and everyone's pushing you forward. So you have to go through the Capitol to get out.
Yeah, I remember.
And it was all on
the
purpose.
the way the crowd was moving and things like that, and it was really crazy how it all went down and how well apparently it was coordinated.
Yeah, and now we're learning from court documents from the J6 court cases that there were at least 20 undercover FBI and MPD present that day.
Right. Yeah. And at least Nancy Pelosi hired a film crew instead of extra security.
Oh, and her daughter was there too. Yeah.
Who can even be surprised when you see that the FBI has had Jeffrey Epstein on payroll as an informant for decades, right? It was like 26 years that they had been paying him.
Yes. Yeah, and that
we're just now finding that out. I mean, we all knew, but now we're knowing.
Yeah.
Shout out to
Wait.
Waffle Salter real quick for the super chat. Thank you, Waffle Salter.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Wait till you find out how many CEOs are also federal informants. Or
Right. All they have to do to not get
assets.
arrested is to become an informant, and now they're on the take instead of.
And it's more than that, though.
Criminal.
It's the idea that these companies are private companies, which is what we always hear, right? Oh, Twitter is a private company, blah, blah, blah. Are they really, though? Really?
Well, I mean, I feel like it's so weird that people didn't wake up to this. A lot of people didn't wake up to this over COVID, this idea of private companies, right? Why was it that some companies were allowed to be open and others were not? Like, if there's not some type of, crony capitalism going on, then I don't know what is. So people,
Right.
I see this a lot where people, they try to, attack capitalism as a whole by attacking crony capitalism. And it's like, that's more akin with socialism.
It's exactly what it is. Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous where they're picking, winners and losers. And they're doing the same thing in Silicon Valley with the CIA's venture capital firm InQtel and the companies that they're investing in, and how those always seem to become, multinational corporations. While small
BlackRock's too big to
companies
fail.
get stolen from. Right.
Yeah.
And like Google has so many different allegations and lawsuits against them for stealing intellectual property. They'll take a small company in with a product and say, hey, come demo it for us. We might want to buy this from you. And they just steal the idea.
Mhm.
They just take it.
You know
and they get away with it.
You know what I noticed is that PJ's rocking a cool shirt.
I am rocking a cool shirt. So if you guys haven't seen this, I got the very first Last American Pubcast t-shirt.
Do that
I was
again,
the first
PJ.
one to get one.
I
here,
like
let's
it.
go.
There you go.
And I got to tell you guys, so I did some research before setting up the shop, and I made sure that we picked only the most high quality shirts, because it always drives me nuts when you get a t-shirt and it's like one of those cheap Gildans and the shoulders are like sticking straight out like shoulder pads after a few weeks, and you're like, I love this brand or this podcast or whatever, but it's going to sit in my drawer because it's just not comfortable. So we actually got really comfortable shirts. I got to test it out first. I love this thing. So if you guys want to get one, I'm going to show you guys right here.
You're
We
saying
have a
it's
few
a
different
shirt that I can
designs.
use as more than a night shirt after like 2 or 3 wears?
Oh my God. That's so funny.
Exactly. Yeah. So we got t-shirts, baseball tees, hoodies, crew neck sweaters, tank
I actually
tops.
ordered a hoodie, and that will be coming November 10th for me. So I'm very excited about that.
Now, if you guys want to look like Frank, that's the hoodie
There
that he
you
ordered.
go.
So
Yeah.
I'll drop it in the chat. And if you guys are want to find any of our links or anything like that, you can always go to solo.to/Last American Pubcast. All of our stuff is there, including the merch shop. But yeah, I just wanted to report in and say this. I'm actually really happy with the product that we got from these shirts. So
The colors look good too. It looks like it's made very nice. I've done some of these too. Like when you're trying to set the stuff up, I forget what I used before, but like it was a disaster. I did the artwork myself, of course, because why wouldn't I? And the like text is real small at the top or something, like really silly looking, or it's just like not printed well. It looks really good though, so good job.
yeah, thank you. Yeah.
And I wanted to kind of bring something up, something else you've been covering over the course of the last week or so, is that trial that's taking place there in Wisconsin. And that is pretty crazy.
We're getting a
Yes.
feed echo on your stream there, Frank.
Oh.
Oh, maybe it went away. Okay. Sorry. Go ahead. What were you saying?
Yeah.
I don't hear it anymore.
You don't hear it anymore? Okay.
Nope.
Yeah. The whole Waukesha?
Yes.
Waukesha, thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, this was a headline that was written up just recently here. This was one from Kyle Rittenhouse, both by USA Today. Kyle Rittenhouse deserves an award for his melodramatic performance on the witness stand. And then the same USA Today put out a headline that said, Wisconsin Christmas Parade defendant gives tearful opening statement. 2 sides to every story.
Oh,
Can you talk a little bit about this?
yeah. How convenient. How nice. You see how that works there? 2 sides to every story, but they didn't want to hear Kyle's story. Yeah, which was so documented. There were so many videos from so many different angles. It was so obvious what happened and that was self-defense, but they still ran with their little narrative anyways, didn't they? Yeah, and I love how they're doing this. You can see this all over YouTube with the court channels that are covering this, and I mean the big ones like Court TV and stuff, they'll say parade attacker. How about domestic terrorist?
Yeah, can I just really quickly remind people who might not remember this story, because the media wanted to cover it up pretty quickly. The Waukesha attack was when a guy drove his car into a parade of people. Women, children died, elderly people died. I don't remember the exact number, but
6
Wait a
died,
second,
62
PJ.
injured.
I was told that an SUV lost control. You're telling me there was a person in there?
Whoa.
no, yeah, it was the SUV did it. You know, it's when it was Kyle Rittenhouse, it was him. When it was somebody else, when it was Adam Lanza, it was the gun.
Are you
Remember that.
telling me
Right.
you haven't banned SUVs yet?
I think
Right?
they
Yeah,
but
should
they're
ban
getting
assault,
there.
assault
They're
Oh, yeah.
getting there.
Kidding.
Just
Doesn't
you
want-
wait. They're going to ban SUVs.
Wait, Obama tried to ban SUVs, so that's not a stretch.
No, he tried to ban STDs, and that's a different story. Couldn't get rid of 'em.
Yeah, well, Big Mike, anyway.
Yeah.
It's a whole cat dragged in situation, but anyways.
Yeah. So I
So
didn't mean to
what
cut you
is
off,
this-
Radix. I just thought some people might not be familiar with what happened. So
Yes, so this happened November 21st of 2021 last year. This guy was right after Rittenhouse, by the way.
Yep.
There was clearly some motivation with that, in my opinion, because the media told everybody that this was like Kyle Rittenhouse was a white supremacist and that he was racist. So there are people that still to this day think that he shot a bunch of black people, which
Right,
isn't
yeah.
what happened. But people didn't know, right? So the media loves to do this. They whip people up into a frenzy and lie to them. And let's just be honest, people are lazy. They don't do their own research. They don't know what they're talking about. They're regurgitating things that they're seeing on social media, little memes that they're seeing that their friends made, or what the mainstream media tells them is the truth. So yeah, people just believe that. And I think that what happened was obviously a response, because if you remember when the verdict came in, there were concerns about, once again, that city being burned down, looting happening, rioting. And so, yeah, and there were people that showed up to protest outside. And then right after that, boom, this happens.
yeah, it was crazy.
Kind of convenient, right?
I was so I work and live in Michigan, but I actually got sent to Wisconsin for those 2 weeks during both of these things.
Oh my God.
And I remember the day that the Kyle Rittenhouse trial happened, I was supposed to drive my truck down to that area to make some deliveries. And I'm listening and watching the news like, oh my gosh, I really hope a riot doesn't break out. And I get through that day and I'm fine. And then like a few days later, less than a week later, and my hotel was right next to this parade, like 15 miles down the road from this parade.
God.
And I was like, man, I'm in Wisconsin at the worst possible time. Unfamiliar truck driver just trying to make deliveries. I'm like, I'm gonna get freaking pulled out of my truck like what happens at all these BLM riots.
You're like the modern day Forrest Gump.
Yeah,
You're just in the
right.
background as it's happening.
That's what it felt like. Yeah.
Right. He's everywhere.
And I
really
drink a
wanna
lot
hear
of
this.
Dr. Pepper for some reason. Yeah. So
I really want to hear this other side of the story that like makes driving a parade into a parade and killing a bunch of people on Christmas more human.
Yeah.
To be fair, have you ever heard a middle school try to play a bunch of Christmas music?
Oh my gosh, it's just crazy though. Like if you guys remember, the media initially reported that he was somehow like fleeing a knife fight, right?
Mhm.
That they somehow he was just fleeing from being attacked, so he was sort of trying to defend himself and just got carried away or something. No, it isn't what happened.
Thank you, movie dog.
And shout out to Media to Rise for going down there and doing a documentary about Waukesha, getting a jailhouse interview with Darrell Brooks. They were the first
Wow.
people that did that, and they got him to admit he wasn't fleeing any kind of attack. Isn't that nice?
As someone who has been in a car and has hit someone with their car fleeing an attack, and had it all go right, thankfully, I can tell you, you would not go and represent yourself as your own attorney and then stare down the judge if that were true.
Wait,
right?
Hold on. Are we going to gloss over what you hit someone with your car, Tom?
Yeah. This is a couple of years ago. There's like a whole video. It's on my channel. Yeah,
Oh
they tried to,
my
people tried to
God.
pull me out of my car, and it was 2020. It was a wild year for a lot of people.
Okay.
They tried to
Wow,
pull me
wow.
out of my car, and so they took my mirror off and tried to smash my
Holy
doors in.
cow.
Dang.
And so I had to bump a lady into traffic a little bit.
Yeah, that will be another story for another day that we'll dive into.
Yeah. Sorry, I thought everyone knew that. We were going
I
to just
didn't
gloss
know
over
that.
that.
No, yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
what's going on in this trial? I know there is just so much drama, but not only that, it's all being driven by Brooks and the way he's conducting themselves in there.
Oh my God, right?
I'm sorry, Frank.
Driven.
Driven.
Is that
Driven.
an intentional pun? The Last American Pubcast is a thing now.
Oh my
Yes.
God.
Well, speaking of black people, so we can.
Grounds.
Our guest doesn't know that that's a
SoundCloud
thing.
rappers.
I know. Sorry, that's my thing. That's my catchphrase.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
What was the question again? I lost it.
It was the drama that's taking place right now.
Oh yeah.
Inside the courtroom.
I have almost nothing legal to say about this, quite frankly. I have done I've talked about my thoughts on what happened with that he had a rap sheet a mile long. He never should have been released onto the streets to do what he did, to commit the crime that he committed. And what he's doing now is just making a mockery of everybody. He's purposely trolling the entire legal system and all of the victims. And the man is an absolute psychopath. He's a sociopath that doesn't have any empathy. He feels no remorse for his victims. You can tell he's dead in the eyes. You can tell that, he just would go about his life as if nothing happened. Yeah. That is a man that is demon possessed. Okay.
Right.
He was staring down the judge like that. And she said that she was scared. So she admitted to being intimidated by the man representing himself in a case that she's presiding over.
She needs to recuse herself. She can't admit that she's afraid and then also go back and be like, anyways.
Well, what my concern is that this gives him the ability to claim that somehow he didn't get a fair trial, or that there was some kind of malfeasance or misconduct because she was biased against him or whatever, something like that, or that he's trying to get a mistrial. Like, he does all of this objection. Yeah, exactly. Grounds. He just kept shouting things like grounds, leading, objection, leading. He doesn't even care like what's
he watched
being
Matlock once.
He did. It's like, this is a guy who watched Law and Order 2 times and believes himself to be the smartest person in the room. And he thinks that like he's going to find some legal loophole, right? And he's going to win and be a free man because he does think he's smarter than everybody else. And just the disrespect to everybody there. I cannot imagine being somebody who lost a child or a parent or a spouse and having to get up there, recount the most horrific and traumatic day of your life to the man who killed your loved one as he stands there and badgers you and attempts to intimidate you, and then talks about himself in the third person, talks in circles, asks bizarre questions, drags things out, sits there shuffling papers on his desk, going like this, just acting like a total animal. I'll just say it. And,
at one point, I think he asked, is the state of Wisconsin inside the courtroom?
In the room. Because an entity can't file a claim. It has to be a person. Did you know that? That's a sovereign citizen thing, apparently.
I thought he was going to get off scot-free at that point. I thought they were going to be like, damn it, we didn't know he could do that.
He got us.
It was like a Kobayashi Maru thing. He was just like, do nothing, I'll win. But I'm actually wondering if he will go for the insanity plea. Someone said that in the comments, and that's what I had said a couple of videos ago on this. I thought maybe he might be just building up for the looks so crazy that they go lock him in a loony bin instead of the prison.
Well, wait till he's on the stand and his head starts spinning in circles and he's speaking in Latin. That's
he's throwing up
that's coming next after that demonic stare down. He didn't even blink. I watched the video for over a minute. He did not blink. That's someone that's freaking demon possessed, or at the very least under demonic influence. But yeah, he would just say things like subject matter jurisdiction and like shout out things like objection, relevance.
Anti-disestablishmentarianism.
He objected to his own objection.
So he's like Alex Jones' lawyer then. A little bit.
is, just causing a big scene, turning this into a movie, making everything about himself so that people forget about the victims. I think that's really his goal, is to just troll everybody and have one juror, one person that maybe questions, because he was saying things like, well, how do you know that you saw that like he would ask these questions like, well, could you see through the vehicle? Are you sure that's the person you saw? Like questioning people's reality in like this gaslighty way when we all know it's him. There's so much forensic evidence. There's so many videos and just like, oh my God.
So how long before Kim Kardashian comes in to try to bail this guy out?
Oh my goodness. Don't get me started on her. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I gotta have you on my show sometime, Radix, because that was my whole episode the other night, was talking about Kim Kardashian and all the people that she's tried to get off with, and how those articles
get off.
Well,
yeah,
she did put a tape out there. I'm sure she got a few off, but
that would be a different tape about her in prison.
Oh,
right?
no.
Yeah. No, there was I noticed that every article about Kim Kardashian leaves out a few key people that she got out of prison.
Yeah,
you know, when they're
isn't
praising
that
her, they're
nice?
like, look at, she got this little old Alice Marie Johnson out of prison, who was just a first-time drug offender. It doesn't matter if she was a kingpin of cocaine in her area. But
don't
then
know
it
why.
leaves out the guy who like murdered a family and like raped a bunch of people and like stole a boat after doing all of those things. It like leaves out
So
conveniently all of
disgusting.
those people. Yeah.
Why would we expect anything else from a Kardashian attorney, knowing
Right.
where she comes from?
She's trying to make her dad proud and help.
Did the Kardashian
exactly.
attorney represent OJ?
Yes. Yes. Oh God.
Right.
That's
This would be a perfect thing for Kim Kardashian. He did drive a Bronco, so I mean,
Yeah. And you know,
No, it was a Jeep Grand Cherokee, wasn't it?
wait, it was a Cherokee,
or
I think.
Stop the racism.
Because I
towards
thought I made a
Broncos.
joke. I made a joke about Indians running through whites finally, and then I had to take it into consideration.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's very frustrating though. I've tried to get through like streaming that day 15 of that trial, and I was like gonna lose it. They kept having to take him out because he won't behave. He won't recognize like the decorum. He'll just sit there causing a fit, and there's okay, we're gonna take him out. We're gonna put him in the next room, and we're going to mute him until he behaves. And the judge just gives him chance after chance after chance. Okay, let's bring him back in. He's brought back in. He immediately stands up and starts screaming at her, yelling at everybody.
Why won't she hold him in contempt?
Exactly. Because if
She-
it were you or me, we all know that we
Absolutely.
wouldn't be treated with kid gloves. No, they're going to infantilize him and act like he's a baby and allow him to do this and to re-victimize everybody
Right.
because she needs to be a good ally.
This is what he just needs to be put in this for the remainder of
Yeah.
the trial.
Wheel
Just
him
put-
out.
Put him in that. Wheel him out like this, and he can present his case. Objection.
Grounds.
But then she won't be afraid. We'll all be fine.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. God.
yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah, but I'm waiting for him to bite somebody next, or like lunge across the table, like after the stare down and his temper tantrums and ripping his shirt off, and
But you
you
know,
know.
none of this would be happening if they didn't have a DA in that county that was a Soros DA who was hell bent on letting people out early for serious crimes. This guy was a sex offender who sex trafficked one of his family members, I believe, if I remember correctly, and he should have been in prison and not out on the street running people over.
yeah, he also shot his own nephew over
right,
a cell
yeah.
phone.
Sounds like a stand-up citizen. What's up with SoundCloud rappers? That's what
Of
I
all
want to
the
know.
things
Like,
you shoot your
All
nephew
of
for,
them.
a cell
of 'em.
phone?
An
no, but
old
like
cell
there was
phone.
what is up with all the crazy mass killings going on from SoundCloud rappers?
I don't know.
It's been like how many cases now?
Yeah, it's
I feel
so
like we're
much that Gavin Newsom has decided that we can't use their lyrics against them in a court of law.
It would be too easy.
Be too easy. They're telling on themselves, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is a Key and Peele sketch, isn't it? Where he's like, I killed someone last Friday with this and I put the weapon here. And then they're like, wait, I didn't do it. I'm pretty sure that is exactly
That
what
is
that
a
was
Key and
sketch
Peele.
like
I
a
remember
decade
that
ago.
one. Yeah.
Holy cow. Wow.
Now it's real.
Now
Yeah.
it's real. Just like the memes becoming reality too. What I don't even know what's happening.
Reality
anymore in the
imitates art. Is
timeline.
that
Don't
life
let your
now?
memes be dreams is what they say.
Exactly. Don't let your dreams be memes.
So they treat this guy with kids gloves, but what's going on? Like, we're not getting the same across the aisle with people like Steve Bannon. I saw that this week he was they're trying to sentence him to 4 months in prison.
Of course they are. And they've just subpoenaed Trump. He will have to come before the ridiculous Politburo kangaroo court.
The Shamity, as he's
Yeah.
called it a couple times.
But if
Yeah.
Trump ties this up in legal cases, will he even be questioned by the current January 6th committee? If the Republicans retake the House and they repurpose the January 6th committee, would it be the same people? And would he even have to do it at that point?
Well,
I think that he challenges it to where he doesn't have to do it.
Isn't that the thing though? Isn't November 8th all about whether or not we want a January 6th season 2?
Yeah,
Like,
that's what they're
the
saying.
vote's over.
Yeah, but with a much bigger budget.
Right.
Yep.
We need the
Exactly.
CGI
Pyrotechnics,
in there.
everything. There's going to be a live finale.
Yeah, we're gonna just
Well-
bring in the Hollywood production crew. They're doing that with the Whitmer case.
They
you
did that
guys
on
hear-
January 6th, so I'm not surprised.
Season 2 of Game of Thrones got dragons. What's season 2 of January 6th going to get?
Exactly.
We already saw
Kamala
Sterling
Harris.
Armstrong Trump in the back of the limo, like
That's
beating
right.
up Secret Service people. So, what's coming in season 2? Like, how do you go above that?
It was actually the one that was storming the Capitol and busting down the doors. That's how the doors opened up, don't you know?
It'll be like the
No.
scene from The Patriot of like an American flag and be kicking in the Capitol doors and waving it.
the grannies with the flags,
Yeah.
staying inside the velvet ropes. We're gonna get something like that. Granny,
80-year-old cancer granny with a freaking AR-15
with the skull mask.
or the Tommy
really-
gun. Yeah.
I really need the granny storyline. I really need them to come out with like she was secretly a cage fighter.
Well, there's the latest stuff in Germany. They arrested like an elderly woman that they said was involved in a conspiracy to bring back the Kaiser. What? She's 70 years old. Like,
And just over a tweet because she said she loves Wilhelms. Totally different thing.
oh my goodness.
Radix, I'm really curious what you think of Steve Bannon's decision to not comply with the subpoena.
I think it was based.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't comply with the show trial either. Why would I? They don't care about the truth.
Well, I
Yeah.
mean, it sounds like to me that they're going to take this thing all the way up to the Supreme Court. Like, he's not actually probably going to spend time in prison.
Oh no, it's pending appeal, and he'll probably drag it out, maybe, or take it to the Supreme Court. I mean, the
Good for him.
entire thing is nonsensical and stupid.
I mean, he could just as easily go to Mexico, right? The border's wide open.
Well,
Right?
NPR literally puts out articles praising Democrats when they don't show up for subpoenas.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh
Like, they
yeah.
praise, like
Eric
people
Holder.
still praise
The
Hillary
freedom
Clinton for
fighters.
right.
Where
Yeah,
the
people-
Democrats actually left and protested the vote to subpoena or to convict Eric Holder in contempt.
Yep, that's right.
And subpoenaed evidence hasn't meant jack shit since 2016 when Hillary Clinton smashed a bunch of cell phones with a hammer.
Oh,
So it's a two-party system, or it's a two-tier justice system.
that's right. And it's a one-party state
Right.
with the illusion of a choice.
Mm.
Yeah, which I think is worse, right? It's more sinister. At least after the Bolshevik Revolution, like, people understood what the Soviet Union was. Like, they knew that they were living in a one-party state under, absolute tyranny, and people would be disappeared in the middle of the night. And if you said the wrong thing, you'd be sent to Siberia for 10 years in a hard labor camp. But here, people believe that they have like rights, and they think that the Constitution is still in play, and it's not, and it hasn't been since at least the Patriot Act, but probably before that, probably with the national security laws in the 1940s.
Yeah,
It's
I
like a
remember
historical
the Patriot Act.
artifact that we reference.
Yeah.
I remember when the
Really?
Patriot Act was being passed, and they said, "Well, if you got nothing to hide, you have nothing to worry about."
No,
I was
I
like,
remember that.
And I was such a normie. I'm like, "Yeah, that's right. If you don't got anything to hide, you don't have."
I said,
Now-
yeah. I was in 8th grade, like at around 9/11. Such an idiot too.
I would have like beat the hell out of myself from like 2001.
Oh my god. Yeah,
But
but
it's like, look-
they did that to us though.
Yeah, it got a lot of people. I mean, like Radix said, and I was in probably 5th grade at that time. So I was like, I grew up in a kind of conservative Republican family. And I was like, yeah, well, Al Gore sucks and all these other people suck. So whatever George Bush does must be good.
Jeez, you guys are so old.
Yeah,
Hey, watch your mouth, young
All
man.
of you are so old.
It's really
Gives me the
fascinated me in the last year to see kind of the romanticization of Russia, even while they're actively bullying Ukraine, or however you want to put that. But I think it's kind of coming back to that. Sometimes I think people just want something to make sense, and is I think bad of a choice it is. Some people really would rather have an authoritarian regime than to be constantly wondering what's going on and what's true. And
I've literally heard that argument for
Yeah.
Russia, that they would rather just know.
Yeah.
Wait, Abby, are you saying that Russia's bullying Ukraine?
Oh, that's the wrong word. Back you up.
Kind of bullying, you said. I just want to make sure. The invasion, kind of bullying.
It's a very NPR headline from you, Abby.
Yeah, Abby, get it together.
Our resident Fed.
two sides to every nuclear bomb.
Sides to every nuclear story.
Oh,
You guys, I deserve that. I really did.
no, but to be fair, though,
Might
I
tweet
mean,
that out.
Putin was KGB.
I was going to say it's barely even bullying. If anything, we're bullying them, right? NATO is bullying Russia.
That's true. Also, it's
Yeah,
a
it's
proxy
kinda true.
war. It's been going on since 2014 after the Odessa massacre. Yeah.
I find it funny because I feel like it's weird. Like I've said this from the very beginning, but I feel like the taking sides in the Russia-Ukraine thing is a little bit weird. Like there's definitely
It's weird.
certain sides to take, but it's like I wonder why it's so hard for people to understand. Like, hey, Putin's probably not a great guy, and also Ukraine
Yeah.
sucks. And they're like, this terrible puppet state of
Zelensky,
NATO
that
in the
piece of
West.
Crap.
Right.
We're
Like you
supposed to
can
be
take
defending
both.
democracy there. Zelensky outlawed his political opposition, and he's just disappearing people in the middle of the
Hey,
night.
that's just democracy.
He's
That's how
off
democracy
Italian.
works.
Yeah, the
Like, I feel like I'm one of the last people that's both anti-Zelensky and anti-Putin, but I don't know.
No,
I guess
I am too. I mean, I'm not a fan of Putin. I understand why people are, because he plays into their perceptions of being somebody that's
Right.
like a Christian or
But
a
that's
Christian
the whole thing
nationalist.
about Putin that I don't buy into is I don't buy into the things I don't think he believes what he's saying.
No, he's not even a real Orthodox Christian. Like the KGB took over the Orthodox Church after they realized they couldn't
Right.
totally destroy it after they drove it underground.
Right.
And yeah, it's just people don't understand. They don't know what goes on in Russia because people are stupid. But he was KGB. I mean, I don't know how many of you guys are familiar with what's the guy's name? He wrote. He was a Soviet defector, not Yuri Bezmenov.
And
Anatoly
Solzhenitsyn?
Golitsyn. No,
no, okay.
Golitsyn. Golitsyn was a defector that wrote 2 different books, New Lies for Old and Perestroika Deception. And what he said was that the fall of the Soviet Union would be orchestrated and fake to lull the West into a false sense of security and make them believe that we had beaten communism. But really what they would do was just simply reorganize the KGB and kind of put a veil over it so that it wasn't overt, because they realized that people didn't like it because they knew what they were doing. And they were like, oh yeah, we're going to modernize, we're going to liberalize. Is that really what happened?
There's
the
still
fakes,
hero worship of Stalin in Russia today.
Exactly. There's
Yeah.
communist symbols everywhere, all over Red Square. And you have Russian generals saying things like, we're going to bring back the glory of the Soviet Union.
So I have a question then that kind of pertains to how we stand now and how Russia stands in the question of what PJ asked. Would you be better off in a system where you know you're not free, but you also know that you're being told the truth? Would you prefer, given that either your leadership could be good or could be bad, and you don't necessarily know going in, would you prefer to give up your autonomy to know definitively one or the other? You can't control one or the other. It could be good, could be bad, but would you give up your freedom just to know if your leaders were good or bad? Because it seems like that's the argument being made in the East.
Right.
You should give up your freedom. That way you can know that the people leading you are bad. And instead of here, like we don't know if you're good or bad, but we still feel free about it.
I mean, my assumption is that power corrupts, and I think that we're fallen humans are fallen people. So I tend to look at it through a more religious lens, that humans are sinful by their nature. And when you give them power, of course they're going to abuse it. Why wouldn't they? And
So
most
you'd
people-
prefer individual autonomy and obviously not selling out. I figured that would be the case. I just thought I'd throw it out there.
Yeah, and most people aren't Christian and they don't look at things that way, and they don't actively try to, fight against the passions.
Why would the Eastern Orthodox Christians be so on the other side of that then? Why would they sign off on their...
Are you talking about like the Russian Orthodox Church?
Yeah, exactly right.
Oh, because they're totally run by like the KGB now, or the Russian intelligence, FSB now.
Right.
Yeah, but because there's a split between ROKOR, which is the Russian Orthodox Church outside of Russia, and the Russian Orthodox Church.
And the people there just don't know
Big
this.
difference. No, and I think that part of it too, though, is to think about it like in a nationalistic sense. You have to try to put yourself in Russia's position. After the Soviet Union fell, they were made very destitute, and they see Putin as somebody that is restoring their country, the glory of their country, right? And they see him as sort of like their leader. I mean, you have to kind of, they're brainwashed, they're scared, but also I think that a lot of people believe in him and what he is doing in his project to restore the Soviet Union.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the same could be said
And make
about
them
us.
a
Like,
superpower again.
Americans are also brainwashed to hell right now.
Yes.
And you could say support for Trump was some kind of push to restore America. I can totally see them making the same argument. So that'd be a tough position
Yeah,
to
to
be
make
in.
Russia
I
great
think-
again.
I think that's why people have kind of linked those two. Like people that are very pro-Trump also kind of have a more favorable view of Putin because they
Right.
don't actually they don't live there, so they don't maybe see it as much. But like their perception of Putin is that he's very pro-Russia, he's very pro-Christian church, like all of these things. He's very anti-woke. He's against all these. Like Putin can come out and say a lot of things, but it's I guess it comes up to whether you believe him or not.
Yeah, exactly. It comes out to whether or not you believe him, and how come they're not allowed to have a free press in Russia? How come their journalists get disappeared or like, car bombs, or whatever?
Well, we have the same. We have Michael Hastings, and we have the illusion of
We
a
do.
free press, but we see
Right.
the same thing. And that's
Yeah.
kind of my thought is like, we feel like we're free, but we don't know whether or not our people leading us are evil or not. We assume they're good because we don't know that they're evil. They know what they've given up for the trade-off of knowing exactly who their leader is, good or bad. And I
maybe-
wonder, like PJ said, which is better on the soul.
Maybe this is a bad analogy, but it makes me like when you say that, Tom, it makes me think of the Matrix, where it's like you can live in the Matrix and believe that everything is hunky dory, or you could live in the real world and things are shit. But
But
at least
you know that it's
what's
real shit.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's kind of weird like that.
Of
The
course,
other-
Putin is still KGB. It's the same thing as George Bush being the president after he
CIA.
was a CIA director. It's
Yes.
literally the same thing.
It's the
But
exact same.
also, I don't see things in a black and white, good or bad lens. I think that people are complex, and I think that there are good people who can do bad things and bad people who can do good things.
The other uncomfortable thing about our system is that when it fails, theoretically, it's our fault, right? If you have an evil king, then anything bad that happens, you can just be like, it's the evil king's fault. He decided that, and I just have to live with it. There's nothing I can do. But in our system, we have to live with that discomfort of, did I do enough? Is this my fault? Especially older people who have been here voting in lots and lots of cycles. I see very angry and bitter now, and I think that they're wrestling with this like, is this my
Well,
fault?
also to Abby's point, people don't want to admit that they're wrong. So we have people going out there right now just spreading every kind of like cope that they can as far as the economy goes. It's like, well, yeah, I voted for Biden and he shut down the pipelines and the gas went up. But
Yeah.
that's not his fault, and here's why. And they'll like make up some,
Right.
it's because you're having too many. It's because you're having too many kids. It's because we don't have enough abortion. That's why the economy sucks. It's definitely not because Biden destroyed the economy and the Democrats suck at all this stuff.
Yeah,
Well,
if
and
you want
also-
to check out that story, me and PJ did that over on Let's Be Frank. So check that story out where Stacey Abrams said, yeah, stop having kids and you won't feel the pinch of the inflation that's currently going on.
It's also to Abby's point that the media and every entertainment outlet today is telling young people, not just the old people who have been voting a ton, but the young people, they're telling them the future is yours, but only if you preserve it now. And you have to be active now, and you have to be preserving the future
Yes.
now. And so they make them feel like the onus is on them. The impetus is theirs, and they have to do something. And that almost makes them more of an extremist or more of a You know, what do they say? What
Yeah.
triggered you? What do they say? What it is? What
Yeah,
triggered
exactly.
you? Something like
right. Yeah, look
So
at the
what radicalized
climate.
you?
Is what radicalized you exactly. You
Oh,
did.
what radicalized you? Yeah.
The left is
Sorry.
really, really good at mobilizing people. I
Yeah.
would love to see the right get better at
Mobilization.
Wow, that's going to be a
mobilization.
clip for Congress.
What about True
Whenever
International
we,
under pressure?
But- I'm sorry?
the only way the right mobilizes is when the feds initiate it.
Yeah, right? What's up with that?
I mean, being a Fed over here, I can't even, as a Fed, mobilize you people. So I don't
Yeah.
What do you
No, I was
mean,
asking-
you people?
What do you mean?
Speaking
by
of-
that?
Mostly just you, Tom.
But who's better at mobilizing True International? Who's better at mobilizing True International under pressure? Like that's the real question that we have to face.
Honestly, people, you have done some of the best work for that cause that I have ever seen.
PJ, I'm impressed you're able to say that word. I would trip over it.
I
True
know.
International Shabbat of pressure?
The reason I got good at it, this is a true story. I was making a video where I was trying to do like a serious face, like black and white, like a Sarah McLachlan type commercial
Like
thing.
a Justin Trudeau kind of thing?
Yeah, I
Oh
was
my
trying to do that, but
God.
it was like it was satire. So I had to watch Joe Biden in slow motion for 10 minutes saying True
Oh,
International under
no.
pressure. Just to like because I couldn't understand, like I couldn't repeat it. So I watched it so many times, like, oh, these are the syllables, True International under pressure. Okay,
Dear
got it.
God. That's insane.
I go into depth with my research, guys. Do that for you. I watched She-Hulk for you guys. Okay,
You did.
You watched She-Hulk for you.
Whoa.
No, he watched Bros for
Just
him.
like you watched Bros for
Nice
you.
try.
I watched They Them for me. I watched She-Hulk for you guys.
No.
You watched Brokeback Mountain on repeat.
No.
That's in his top 10.
I've still never seen that. I've never seen that, and I've never seen Bros. They Them was
tried-
about the gayest thing I could.
How about
not quite stomach.
Euphoria? Did you watched it? Didn't
Is
you?
Euphoria the YouTube? I've never seen it. Is that the
No,
YouTube
it's
show?
It's an HBO show.
Or
that, like,
that's
all
what I
the,
meant to say. It was HBO. Yeah.
The Zoomers watch. It's like trains and
Zendaya or
stuff, I
whatever?
think. Yeah.
Yeah, I know of it, but I've never seen it.
Mm-hmm.
I tried so hard to watch
Now I
She-Hulk
got
for
Radix
myself.
over here busting my balls. Wow.
It was just so bad. I could not, even for you guys. And I love you very much.
PJ sucked it up. PJ sucked it up.
I saw that there's a new I saw a trailer today for the new Black Panther movie, and I'm like, that's gonna be on my work
God.
my homework assignment in November.
Is there going to be
Oh,
more
no.
trashy dancing in that one too, or no?
From what I'm sure there will. From what I saw, they replaced Black Panther with a woman, and they replaced Iron Man with a woman in the new.
Oh, of
Maybe
course.
there can be a twerk off as like the
Oh,
final
yeah.
fight.
Oh,
May
She-Hulk left to
will be
join.
on that one.
She's a pro. She got her tips from Cardi B. So
Oh
She got her
my
what?
goodness.
she got her tips from Cardi B. about
Oh,
twerking,
tips. Okay.
Objection.
Yeah. True International under pressure.
True
Thank
International
you, Waffle
Shabbat of
Salter.
Oh my goodness.
PJ, you need that as a drop.
What I need is a what?
You need that as a drop. You need that little True International Shabbat of pressure as a
Oh,
button.
I do.
This is a hotkey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There
So
you go.
we're heading over to the top of the hour right now. So if you guys are still watching, thank you for still watching and being here with us. Make sure you share it out. Hit that like button, subscribe button, share it over to your favorite DARPA platform, whether it be Facebook or Twitter or one of those places. Share it out. Get more people to come on over here and hang out with us as we still have a whole hour left to go here with our awesome guest that's joining us here tonight.
At least
And,
an hour. At least another hour.
At least another hour. That's right. And you can also check out our official Twitter account for the Last American Pubcast as well. It is, oh man, I'm so bad. I was going to have it ready to go, and I'm like, you know what? I'm
At
gonna be on the ball.
_USA pub.
There, bam, got it on the screen.
There we go.
Yes.
So go give us a follow over there, and
Reach out to the based producer.
yeah, check him out. He's pretty awesome. Pretty based. As well as don't forget, we have the election special coverage we will be doing here on the channel on November 8th. It will be starting at 6:30.
6:30. Yeah.
6:30.
We'll be going till 11.
Maybe.
Yeah, we'll be going to 11, if not a little bit longer than that, depending on what things are shaking out and what's happening. We'll determine that on the fly during the show. So come out. We have a full slate of guests coming on. Every half hour, we have somebody new coming on to talk about what's happening. And some of those guests will be people within those regions, within those states that are some of those hot contested races that we are going to be looking at. So make sure you come back and join us. Next week we have Chandler Crump. Chandler Crump will be joining us next week here on the show. So make sure you show up on next Saturday as well. So, all right, had to get all the little housekeeping out of the way.
Oh, everyone should also just be preemptively calling in sick for work on November 9th so that you can stay up with us all night on the 8th and then celebrate into the wee hours and the early hours of the night.
There you
we plan to go way later than 11. I don't know what they were talking about with 11.
Yeah, if it's
11 is when we're putting your parents to bed, maybe.
If it's anything like 2020, we'll be up till 4 a.m. waiting for results.
Oh my God.
We'll be up for 2 weeks after the election.
Yeah, 2 weeks.
Trump's like, go home, we won. We did win, frankly. We did win.
All right, so let's head into the next hour here where we cover a lot of entertainment stuff and a lot of stuff that we typically don't talk about normally. And I'll go kick us off here with this first story here. This is, if you guys know, the popular YouTuber, Mr. Beast. Mr. Beast, if you don't know him, then you don't have any kids, apparently.
Or a YouTube account.
Or a YouTube account, yes.
Or you're not a kid yourself.
So Mr. Beast apparently was supposed to pay for groceries. It got leaked, and he had to cancel due to security measures. Well, apparently... he was going to do this thing here at that grocery store. It got leaked, and the whole town showed up, which obviously, caused security concerns for him. And these people were very, very upset. Let's go ahead and take a listen.
Taker's going to take, man. Taker's going to take.
Not coming today.
Can I pay for my beer and my sausages? They'll take me.
Everybody needs to get groceries on the regular so you can see through the line. Mr. Beast is not coming today due to security issues.
Oh, Jesus. No, bring his ass back.
And I'm the one to get to tell y'all so.
Oh, God, get him.
Anybody intending on getting groceries on the regular, Mr. Beast is not coming today. There are security issues. He can't even get you.
Can't because he's at the hotel
I didn't even
laughing.
know about this till last night. So I have no idea what's going on. They just called
Holy
me.
cow.
So are we to learn from this that handouts don't make people better people and more appreciative and hardworking citizens?
Something. There's a sign at the national park that says "Don't feed the bears." I don't know exactly.
Yeah, something like that.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, this is how people get, and they were all upset because they were going to get something free, So, you saw some of those grocery carts, they were just piled out with meat.
Although, to be honest, if you guys were told, hey, there's you don't know this, but just down the street at the local big box store of your choosing, there's going to be a YouTuber, whether you know him or not, doesn't matter. You could just say Joe Rogan's another cognate is going to come in and buy the store out, whoever's in there. So let's go and be in there. You wouldn't not do it. You'd be like, all right, let's go check it out. If you had nothing else to do, and look at all these people, they got nothing else to do.
It's not that, it's the total ingratitude of these people. I witnessed this firsthand a long time ago. Sure, but I witnessed this firsthand a long time ago, and it really changed my mind on a lot of things. And what happened, I was in Nashville doing some ministry work, and there was we're doing we set up in a park in Nashville, and we were giving out free meals to all the homeless people. Because I don't know if you guys have been to Nashville, but there's a lot of homeless people, a lot. And so anyway, we're there, and all the neighborhood came out, and they were getting food, and I was getting yelled at by old ladies for not having enough coleslaw for them and their kids. It was not, hey, thank you guys. Goodness. And full disclosure, this was part of a music ministry thing. I was in a band. It was our first tour. It was a Christian tour, so we were going from town to town and doing these good acts and stuff like that. But we were broke as hell. I had one cheeseburger in 3 days. That's how much food I had eaten. And we were waiting to see if there's any leftovers so the people serving could eat.
I thought you were going to say, full disclosure, I gave her an empty one.
No, but I was just saying, it changed your mind when you're actually hungry trying to help people, and they're upset at you because you don't have enough certain type of ketchup that they like, or a certain type of coleslaw or macaroni salad or whatever.
Yeah,
the choosy pour.
Yeah, choosy pour. It was really crazy.
That's so interesting because if you read historical fiction like The Grapes of Wrath, just a couple generations ago, it's depicted that people were experienced so much shame when they had to ask for help.
What kind of cereal, Abby?
The Grapes of Wrath.
Grape nuts.
Never had it. Never had it. Sorry.
That even if somebody offered them help, even if they didn't ask and somebody offered them and they desperately needed it, they would still get so offended that they were offered a handout. And now, just a couple generations later, people are not only accepting handouts, but expecting them
and mad when they don't get
I think
enough.
it became really easy when they transitioned from the food stamps, where you actually had to pay physically with food stamps, and they were obviously looked different colored than the actual money, and transitioned to an EBT card. The stigma kind of went away, and people were, A-okay with getting government handouts then. But if they actually saw you paying with that, it was like a stigma that was associated with it. I knew my mom, she actually bought food stamps from people because they were ashamed to use them. So she would buy them, or they would trade her for real cash. So they would give her a little bit more extra money or extra food stamps for the actual money. And we would use them. My parents were like, okay, yeah, sure, we'll use them, whatever.
But it's not because they were embarrassed to use them. It's because some of those people wanted to spend that money on drugs.
Oh, yeah, drugs or whatever.
Yeah, they're getting the cash out. They were like, yeah, listen, you can have $10 extra. I just need the EBT for cash, please. And they can't do that at the liquor store.
Thank you, Tom.
Take it from me, because I had a coworker who explained this to me as to why she did it. So I've been on the other side of that.
Yeah.
Hey, I will tell you now that I just want to crack this really quickly. If I remember correctly, .life sent a big bomb super chat, and he says, hey folks, where things appear to be going well for the midterms on the right, please do not underestimate the desperation of the left. Volunteer, stay alert, stay vigilant, vote on election day, not early. So I just want to get that in now while it's fresh.
And real quick, just to kind of pivot with that, I talked a little bit about polling in Michigan with Tudor Dixon and Gretchen Whitmer before we went on air. And I had talked about some of the polling I had seen where it showed her that she's leading or tied. And you said, what about that?
I'm not convinced. I think that even if people hear me right, I think that the state hates Gretchen Whitmer. And I think that the state will vote for Tudor Dixon. But I would like to think that it would be by such a margin that they can't do a fake out, steal the vote, swing it back for Gretchen. And my fear is they're putting out the false confidence poll. They're putting out the false hope poll for the guy who's working late, gets stuck in traffic and goes, am I going to try to kill myself to get to the poll to vote? Or did I see that poll and think, Tudor Dixon's ahead. Maybe she doesn't need my poll, my whatever. So even if that's 1% of people, we know elections can go by one. And that would be my concern, is to think anything more than that is a fake poll.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Tom's exactly right. The overconfidence thing is a big issue. I honestly prefer to see someone down by a percentage point in the polls before an election if I want them to win. I feel like this was the case with Trump in 2016. I think people saw every poll saying Hillary Clinton's got this in the bag, 98% chance she's going to win. And everybody fought tooth and nail to get to the polls because they didn't want to see Hillary Clinton in office. And Trump won by an exceptional margin.
Well, PJ, you're in Michigan, right? You don't know any Democrats who are excited to go vote. Wouldn't this excite you to be like, oh, Gretchen's the underdog, we can go help her?
Exactly.
Like that's the same psychology on the other side.
Yeah, I think that underdog mentality, I've said this for a long time. I think that when they get these confidence polls out there, that it actually goes the opposite way of people expect. Or at least that's the intention. Like Tom said, it's the intention. It's the intention that if you're right on the fence and your person's losing, you're more likely to go than if you're right on the fence and your person's winning.
You should never let a poll determine whether or not you go vote.
Exactly.
Unless it's a poll that Gretchen used to work on, which I'm still working on the story, but I'm confident that she had at one point or another. I'm just kidding. It was Tudor Dixon.
Lady Farquaad. Lady Farquaad.
One of the two. It was either Gretchen or Tudor. One of them used to be another poll worker.
Right.
Out there who's thinking,
the answer may surprise you.
Anyone who's thinking it's just going to get stolen, my vote's not going to count anyway. Even if you're 99% sure that it's going to get stolen, go for the 1%. Go for the off chance that either it won't be stolen or that your vote could help push it over the top.
Well, no, go knowing that it will be stolen, and so your vote counts against the steal. You have to show up in such a margin that you can counteract them from being able to steal it. Make sure that there is no number they can create to counteract the actual weight of the people's vote.
And I've said this for a while. I was very convinced by the evidence in 2000 Mules. But the thing is, the important takeaway that I think a lot of people aren't putting out there is that if they had to stuff the ballots, if they had to hire a bunch of mules to go out there and do 10 and 15 and 20 votes in the middle of the night, it means that they're not just flipping a switch. it means that you
Yes.
can win. You can overcome the steal if that's your mentality. So you have to vote. Sorry, I know Frank was going to say something. I'm going to cut you off.
Oh, was it?
Oh, you weren't?
No.
He's like, not now. Not now.
No, not at all.
It's like, no, I'm in Florida. You guys keep talking. Michigan's up there.
He forgot.
I put something in timeout. I'm over here working on it. I didn't mean to put TZ Burden in timeout. I'm sorry.
Oh my God.
Sorry about that.
Oh my God.
I put 69 girls XYZ in timeout a minute ago.
Why'd you block my wife?
That's the one I was trying to put in timeout. What?
Oh, I'm kidding.
But Frank, I wanted to know if there was local women in my area who were looking for a date. And now I can't see that comment.
Those classy girls.
Yeah, they look for our political podcast to put in their stuff inside of there.
Listen, PJ, you're not fooling anyone with that mustache, okay?
Yeah.
Oh, goodness. All right. We had a couple other stories we wanted to kind of tackle. Did you have those, BJ?
Yeah, so Tom brought this one up about Xi Jinping. It says China's ex-president, I'm going to mess this up, Hu Jintao.
Wow,
Jintao.
you did mess that
I
up.
told you I was going to. Is erased from the internet after being forcibly removed from seat next to Xi Jinping at Communist Party Congress, as state media claims he was dragged away because he was not feeling well. So you brought this up, Tom. What do you?
Yeah, he's now better. Clearly,
He's
I got
better
better.
now.
Yeah, I think first of all,
Currently
it's
being
interesting that they
airbrushed.
say he's being erased from the internet, because tomorrow it will just be like no one was removed from anywhere, and then the next day it'll just be like dinner went as planned. Like that's how they're supposed to erase the headlines. Like the next day they kind of curate what yesterday's was, and the next day they do the same. I think in this case it's odd. If you just watch the video, I don't know if you could pull it up, or maybe I have
if I can.
a different one, or the one I posted in the Telegram was good from the Daily Mail because it just has that GIF on a loop. And it shows the guy sitting at the table. Here you go. And he's being asked to stand up and leave. And you can see, they're like, well, what do you mean? He reaches out. Oh, come on, sir. And that's the current president, Xi Jinping, going, yeah, you're going with them. You're done.
Yeah.
And here's what we all pointed out before the show started. That was done once the cameras were on, once they went live. It wasn't like, oh, sir, your COVID test came back positive. You got to leave. They would have done that before the show started. He would never have been sat. So they sit everyone, then they seat him, then they go, okay, ready? Pull him out. Let's make a big show just to flex Xi Jinping. We had a big story a couple weeks ago that Xi Jinping was under house arrest, and now we see this. I wonder if there's some tension in China.
It's a famous Stalinist tactic to be like, hey, let's show people us removing this person from public life, and then let's tell the people you're never allowed to say that happened. That's their test of control. So I'm sure in 10 years, every picture of Xi Jinping is going to be airbrushed. And it's just going to be him standing by himself with his arms out like he's got a bunch of buddies, and but it's just him.
Tiananmen
He's like, oh, I was pretending to be a bird.
Tiananmen who?
Birds aren't real.
Yeah.
It's a conspiracy. It's true.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that's crazy. It's not surprising, though. That's what happens under communism.
Yeah, I just wonder if it has anything to do with China talking about Taiwan and all these other places. Like, you just wonder how it will play out. What does that look like to the rest of the world? What if we saw someone do that to Bush?
Right. And Jintao was like one of the people that was like for the China maintaining like good, positive relations with the United States. And clearly Xi Jinping is going in the opposite direction with his buddy Putin. And they have the Belt and Road project, that they're working on. They have BRICS now and things like that. So
would this not just be like, because we know it is public, because you can take that as being deliberate? Is this not to be taken as symbolic? Like, here we're holding out the past leader, and maybe in a Caesarean time they might lop his head off, but here instead they're just holding him out and going, okay, now take him away. And now it's publicly seen that, oh wow, the past leader who you just said stood for all of these things is now gone. And so that means in their head, those things are gone.
Yeah, exactly. It's a different China now.
It's as good as a public execution.
That's exactly what it is. It's sending a message. I want to say, though, I don't think that America's immune from this exact same thing happening. I know a lot of people probably don't remember some of these things, but I've always worked nights. So I'm always up at night, even on my days off. And I watch the news at night, and I notice how many times that you see the news as it's unfolding live. And then in the morning, it's a completely different story. So maybe you guys remember in 2014, the pigs in a blanket, fry 'em like bacon, the whole Dallas BLM movement. And there was that shooting. Do you guys remember this? The shooter? And I watched the coverage for I don't know how many hours, all night long. And there was police being interviewed on the news saying, hey, we're being triangulated. There's a guy in this tower, in this tower, in this tower. There's a video of a guy with a shotgun running between pillars. And all night long was, hey, we're being pinned down. You can find the video. Well, now they're kind of
like a war zone.
Internet. Right.
It was as if they were in an active war zone.
Over and over and over again, it's triangulated fire. There's 3 different shooters in 3 different areas, and we're pinned down. And every cop was on the radio with the news saying, hey, that's why we're pinned down. All night long, I watched this unfold. By noon the next day, it was one shooter, and it was always one shooter. Look it up. Look it up now and tell me that it doesn't say there was only one shooter and they took him out with a drone. We do the same thing here, and it happened a week later in Georgia. There was another cop that was, hey, I got shot at, so I started running away from the fire, and then there's another guy at the bridge, and he started shooting at us too, and then it was only one shooter. So I feel like we do the same thing here, and we've been testing out these. Will people just believe what we tell them and not the evidence of their eyes? We can show them the evidence. We can show them us taking this. I can never pronounce his name. Chinese president away on air, but he won't exist next week, and he'll never existed.
Yeah,
no,
it even
not
says
Xi
here.
Jinping, the other guy, but yeah.
Hu Jintao.
Hu Jintao.
Hu Jintao.
From New York Times, July 8th, 2016, they say the shooting rampage committed by Solo Micah Johnson, 25, was described as a kind of retaliatory violence that people have feared. So they were telling you, oh, we expected this, and it was just one guy. I mean, it just screams false flag, and how better to set one up than to just shoot people in the dead of night.
Yep. Yeah.
Yep.
Interesting. Well, Las Vegas is another questionable event of probably multiple shooters and.
Hey, I'm going to sue you for $30 trillion for questioning the Las Vegas shooting. Actually,
oh God,
walk tender because that's another 300 trillion.
Wait, what was the? Hold on, do we have that story, Abby? What? Because I didn't have a chance to read, but you shared it with us on Twitter the other day. But they sued Alex Jones for $965 million, which is like an imaginary number at this point, right? Like they might as well have said, $5 gajillion bazillion dollars, and now they're trying to say $3 trillion. Is that? Am I getting the story right?
Yeah. Give me 1 second.
First they demanded the moon,
trillion.
And now they're asking for the sun as well.
Yes, exactly. It's insane.
Yeah,
Absolutely not.
It's a way to stop dissident. They don't want you to question the regime's narratives.
Yeah, exactly. You can't question events. That's what it's really about. And one of the things that happened, I tuned in for a little bit of that trial, was them saying things like, well, you had Wolfgang Halbig on, and he said these things. So you're responsible for things that your guests say. And I was like,
Schroyer as well.
Wait a second. I don't like the precedent this is setting. I don't like where that's going.
Yeah, because then PBS is going to be responsible every time they play a Hitler speech, even if it's just a part of a documentary. And I would already be blaming PBS as Nazis. It just kind of goes full circle. But I would wonder, is this a way not for him to have to pay $965 million, almost $1 billion? Is this just a way to make sure he's broke? Like, could they do this to you or I? They could just say...
The lawyer said that.
Yes.
The lawyer
just
literally
make sure
came out.
You can never pay it off, but we'll make sure any money you ever earn goes away, so you're essentially destitute forever. We just take away your ability to ever hold financial assets or anything.
The lawyer came out right after the trial and said, we hope that this bankrupts InfoWars. And then on top of that, I listened to an interview with Alex Jones, and he said that they're trying to work out because he doesn't have that money. So they're like, well, any profits InfoWars makes over the next 5-10 years, whatever it was, their agreement is forfeit.
We need to do something
exactly
more to these people than just talk about them.
So basically what they're doing is, it is my understanding, is they took the $965 million in damages and they said we should have that number for every single time he said it.
That's just
where
ridiculous.
they're getting their number. It's insane.
Well, why don't they just ask for their kids back? Like, if they're asking for dumb stuff that can't happen, why don't they just do that?
Right.
Like, that would because if I was a parent that actually lost a child, I would tell them it's not about the money. I don't want the money. Don't ask for some exorbitant amount. Ask for $1 and an apology. Then make a big statement. And then go away. But that's not what they are. They're not that.
What it is.
At least Robbie Parker isn't.
They sued Remington.
Mr. Giggle Pants.
Greek.
They sued Remington. They sued Alex. Sorry, go ahead. What?
Was that the same man that was giggling?
He's like, oh, you guys. Oh, I'll catch up with you later. Oh, it's starting. My son. Or is it my daughter? I can't remember. Creepy.
Yeah.
Robbie Parker. Come at me. I'm not worth anything, but sue me for $1 billion. You'll get it.
He's going to sue you for your Lego space shuttle behind you.
Dude, stop. Don't do that.
What I hate about this is that people don't own trillions of dollars. Like, that is government money. And so when you start asking for that type of money, it's politics. Like you are doing that because of a political thing. No human who is doing it for a human reason, an individual reason, a grief reason, is asking for that amount of money. It's ridiculous.
But it's never been about the children. It's never been about Adam Lanza and the evil things that he did. It's always been about money and politics, because when they sued Remington, it wasn't just about the money. It was about the politics of anti-Second Amendment stuff. Then they sue Alex Jones. What was they're suing somebody else now, right?
You mean it's never been about the children, PJ?
Whoa.
I am shocked.
Well, because the children never
Totally existent children. It's never been about them. Yes.
Well, and wait, Sandy Hook is also just like every other shooting where they've disassembled the school, they've imploded it on its own footprint, and then rebuilt it in its exact, a blueprint. So I don't understand why we would be questioning it at all.
Yeah,
The
totally
emergency
not weird.
responses were all exactly the same, being that we had no ambulance, we had no helicopter. So, totally makes sense.
No triage.
Also, you said this sets a bad precedent. This sets another bad precedent too, because how many people sued Alex Jones? He named one of them. No, two. I think two of them were ever named. So we're saying now that you can actually sue somebody for defamation when they never say your name, including an FBI agent who sued Alex Jones for $90 million.
Yeah,
Well, that's good. Every major network has accused Trump supporters and Trump voters as being all the terrible things you can find in a dictionary. So now we can just sue them because they've collectively talked about you and I and everyone else.
Right? They
Right.
blood libel us.
Yeah.
Blood libel.
but we know
Except
it
for they're
only
the
goes
ones
one way.
actually committing blood libel, if you want to look at what that really is.
Yeah.
I mean, you even have what now? Kanye, or not Kanye? George Floyd's baby mama wants to sue
yeah.
Kanye for saying that George Floyd died of fentanyl overdose.
Well, she's
We
using her
all
daughter as a
know.
political pawn again.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
We all know what happened there. Exactly.
He even said it. He goes, I took too many drugs, or I ate too many drugs.
Yes, he said that. He
At
asked
8
to be
times
put
the
on the ground, by the
amount.
way. He
Yeah.
asked to be laid down on the ground because he'd taken too many drugs. And we should talk about fentanyl, where that's coming from China, and how horrific it is, how many people are dying from it.
It's coming
It's
over the
insane.
open border that we have. But truly,
Exactly.
he did have COVID in the system. So truly, he did die of COVID.
He's
So
no,
maybe-
no,
yeah,
Frank,
maybe-
he's the first COVID positive person to not die from COVID.
Exactly.
Great first ever.
Hu Jintao, the former leader of China, is going to be given the George Floyd treatment. I think that's what we're going to find out. Another
Yeah.
fentanyl, right? That's what we're going to hear.
A fentanyl overdose.
Yep.
Just by police, though. Fentanyl overdose from the police's knee.
Yeah.
And assisted drug overdose. What we're calling those these days. I don't know if y'all saw Candace's documentary on it, but one of the huge things that kind of struck me in that documentary is she went and interviewed George Floyd's roommates, his very good friends, and they said that his family members never once showed up to his house to retrieve any sentimental items, anything. They had plenty of time to go in front of the cameras. They have plenty of time to sue Kanye, but they have not actually demonstrated that they gave a crap.
It's the same exact
Well,
thing as
didn't-
Sandy Hook. It's not about the
didn't care.
person, the people that died. Yeah.
Correct.
But
They weren't with him there. Like he was estranged from them. It was only after they were like, "Wait, I can get in on this."
Yeah,
Mm.
after
Someone
his
was like,
5 funerals.
we need
You know-
need some people props. Would you,
You know
want to be
who-
a personable prop?
You know who did show up at his house though to collect their stuff was the pregnant woman that George Floyd pointed a gun at her stomach. She went to his house to get her stuff back.
That's
Oh
hilarious.
my
That was a joke,
God.
but
I know.
No,
I thought it was funny. That was funny.
But you know, the whole thing with Kanye too is that they say it's the daughter that's trying to sue him, right? Because the whoever's using her as a political pawn. But he gave $2 million to her for college.
I think Tom brought up a great point on his live stream the other night. Is that maybe this or maybe it was you, PJ. I don't remember. It was one of you two. I was watching that the $2 million was designated for college, so they wouldn't be able to touch that money outside.
That was
of
my
it
show.
being-
Yeah,
that was
Katie.
your- okay.
Katie Zed brought that up. She said,
Yeah.
"I wonder if it's because the $2 million was
Oh my
designated
God.
for college and only college, so she can't touch it as far as fungible cash. So kind of like your parents and the food stamps.
Yeah, or a lot like that compliment with me. It was like, oh, you could have it, but you can't. It's actually going the other way. I get it. I feel that. Makes a lot of
Yeah.
sense. I said something good on my show too the other night. I can't remember what it was, but I'll come back to you.
I'll be right back, guys.
Rob, you say that like it's a crazy number, but college is expensive.
That's
Yeah,
true.
2 million if you want to be an attorney or a surgeon or anything that's like, expensive, and you don't want to take out loans and you want to live nicely and pay in cash.
And we know we have a lot of those young youths that are going to be future engineers and doctors and everything.
Entrepreneurs,
the ones that are ransacking Wawas in Philadelphia.
Oh my God, right?
Are you still going to make the sandwiches or what?
And twerking on top of cop cars.
Unreal.
Oh God.
I like salt, says, enjoy your shows, guests, and people in the chat, Frank.
Yes.
When I first read that comment, I thought it said except Frank.
That's okay.
Poor Frank.
You don't have to like me. It's all right. You can be frank with me.
Aw. That was cheesy.
That was. Oh goodness.
While we're at it, I might as well. Here, can I do that?
Yeah, you sure can.
Oh, there you go.
There it is.
Yeah. Yee, that's my Substack.
Tell us about that.
Yes, this is my Substack. You guys can subscribe to that. You can sign up for it so you can get a little email notification every time I publish, which is nice. But this article I wrote back in April, the Whitmer case and the FBI's PatCon legacy, what the article goes into is how what happened in Michigan really isn't a new thing. So I talk about COINTELPRO there. I talk about PatCon. PatCon is something that the FBI was doing back in the 90s, possibly before that, but you might have heard of a little thing called Ruby Ridge, Waco, Oklahoma City. Those were PatCon operations. And the documentation on PatCon is sparse. There's very little documentation about it. But what they were doing really anyways is they just go and they create another code name, right? Kind of like what they were doing with MK Ultra. They shut it down and then they just roll out the same thing under a different code name. So when you're trying to do FOIA requests and you're trying to get information about these projects, it is damn near impossible. And by the way, Richard Helms shredded almost all of the MK Ultra documentation. We only know about it because of financial documents. So who knows how widespread that really was. But then there's MK Delta, Artichoke, MK Naomi, MK Often. There's all these different sub-projects that are related. So PatCon, I guess, is sort of what I would say the main one, though. And it is sort of, it's similar to COINTELPRO. But yeah, it's the FBI creating front groups. And then entrapping people, infiltrating groups that already exist or militias. So I want people to understand that militia groups, the FBI infiltrated them back in the 90s. That's when they really started infiltrating these groups. And it's at the point now where I would suggest that probably every large militia group, if they're not headed by a federal informant, there is at least one or two in the organization itself.
Yeah, couldn't you just assume any of those organizations now, if they show themselves, if they present themselves as a militia, that they would either be a honeypot or fully infiltrated? Yeah. Otherwise, they could not present themselves that way.
Or it could just be like a straight up Fed from the like ground up, like Patriot Front.
Well, she's in the bathroom, but yeah.
Aw.
No, she calls herself a Fed. It's just a joke.
Yeah.
Okay, but yeah, I mean, I hope people understand that like this is not a new thing. What happened in Michigan, it's just the latest iteration of what they've been doing for a long time. Now, we know more about COINTELPRO because a lot of those people actually went on to commit crimes. So then this went to court, and there's the discovery process where the government has to produce their documents. With PatCon, the groups that they had infiltrated back then, most of these guys didn't actually do anything criminal. So we didn't get that going into court and getting discovery where we would have heard about PatCon. We only found out about it in 2007. And the documents like that we have, again, there's very little of them, but it's the same blueprint of they're infiltrating groups and then they're trying to get people to commit crimes. Or they're creating front groups, fake front groups like the Aryan Republican Army.
Yeah,
and trying to get people to join these groups, and for the same reason. Part of it too is that they want there to be extremist groups out there so that that's the threat that they've got to protect us from. So they have
It's the Al-Qaeda method, right? Like we just create a group and then we can say, hey, it's the ISIS thing. It's the same thing over and over.
Right.
Yeah, same thing. Right.
Well, there was those ISIS training centers in Texas and a few other places.
Nevada, and then they wrapped that up real quick. The other thing that's interesting to point out there is that they openly told you they're going to take the war on terror framework from the Middle East and then bring it here. All the different tactics and tools that they've come up with to counter terror. Now they're going to counter patriotism.
Yes. Yeah. And so it's things like extraordinary rendition. So you get kidnapped from your home, taken to a black site and subjected to physical and psychological torture. And you don't have due process, and they can indefinitely detain you and give you the enhanced interrogation.
It's still crazy to me that we have now actual proof that everybody's eyes has been on as far as black sites inside the United States territory, not just in Cuba and other offshore places.
No, but like
everybody
Chicago.
seems to ignore. Well, no, I'm just talking about the January 6th gulag. Like everything about this is a black site. There's no due process. These people are kept in inhumane living conditions. No, they can't get fair trials or people to come in and represent them from media. It is a black site, and I think people forget that Obama actually signed an executive order while he was president to allow this to happen, and everybody just turns a blind eye to it. It's so weird. It's the same thing.
No
we were
way.
Talking about.
We'd have to come up with like a new name.
The biggest anti-war president ever signed something like that.
Right.
No.
Y'all remember when he campaigned on shutting down Gitmo and like ending the forever wars, and then he didn't do it and just expanded it all?
Yeah.
Now we need to expand Gitmo.
There were rainbow flower type of missiles he would shoot, so that was okay.
He simultaneously expanded it and hamstrung the efforts that were already happening.
Because it wasn't about winning. That's what it was. That's
exactly.
what it
Exactly.
It was never about winning.
I saw this meme today, and I thought it was pretty funny. I'm going to put it on the screen here because
Black site is now referred to as site of color.
Sorry.
I've never listened to the CDC, and this kind of encapsulated here: raw cookie dough. CDC, cast it into the oven and bake it. Me, no.
The CDC won't let me be. That's what I'm saying.
Oh my God! Now I want cookies. Bake some cookies later.
I could eat cookie dough all day long.
I know.
Yeah, it says the CDC.
So bad for you. Yeah.
I learned about cookie dough when I was living in Africa, when eating raw egg was like actually really dangerous, and so I've never been able to do it since because that was ingrained in my head.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you ate food in Africa, I think everything was a little bit dangerous.
Yeah,
right?
probably questionable.
I got really sick in when I was in Africa. They thought it was malaria at first, and so they tested me for that. And I was in Liberia during the time of Ebola, so I was really nervous that it was Ebola. So they like quarantined me and tested me for all this stuff. I found it wasn't Ebola. I found it wasn't malaria, and one of the
it's HIV, right? That's knowing your behavior. Just kidding.
True story, though.
Just kidding. I had to get it in before you actually said what it was. Go ahead.
I don't know what it was. It was just some kind of cold or flu. But my point is, like, one of the things that the local
didn't know what it was. Huh?
Local
Didn't
African soldiers gave me was some type of moonshine, and I don't think I should have drank it. But that's my point. I was trying to make. Is it worked really well, and I felt better. But I'm pretty sure it almost killed me.
Oh my God!
I can't believe you both have been to Africa. Did you go together?
No, way different times. She was there in the 90s, I think, or early 2000s.
Early 2000s.
Wow.
I was pretty young.
I was there in 2016-ish or 15, 14, whenever the Ebola outbreak happened in Liberia.
Man, I didn't even get a chance to open with my let's talk about
black people.
Speaking of black people.
Speaking of black people, we went right into Africa. I missed my moment.
Yeah.
Browns.
Oh goodness.
Yeah, we needed that transition. That would have been perfect.
That would have been perfect. It could have been.
But also, the fewer transitions, the better on this show. Am I right?
Wow.
They're
upping in the United States as the Google search results up. Did you notice that?
What's
transitions?
Transition, no.
Oh no.
Well, speaking of transitions,
unrelated. Speaking of suicides, no, I'm just kidding.
Right.
Go ahead. Sorry, Frank.
No, go ahead. I was just trying to make a joke. But
I made a
yours
bad suicide
yours was
joke. It was
better.
way worse.
Actually, speaking of transitions, I do have something to show you guys here. As you guys know, Matt Walsh has been spearheading the efforts against the child mutilation centers in Nashville, Tennessee. And he held a rally in front of one of them today, and it did bring out the crazies, as they typically do.
Of course.
So,
Oh, dear God.
yeah.
Come on,
you can just
baby.
imagine
Come
how
on.
this
I'm
is going to
ready.
go. You guys ready? You guys
Let's
ready?
do it. Yeah.
let's
Fair
see
warning.
it.
Here we go.
If I've ever seen a
Oh
group of
my
mentally
God.
healthy young individuals.
Right?
The best and the brightest.
Yeah.
Look at how dysgenic they all are. Look at
Can you go back a second? Can you go back
Yeah.
just a second?
How far back?
What
Just
is
enough. You'll
this?
know. Just go back a bit. Go back a little bit more. Back a little bit more. Just a bit more. Okay, a lot
Oh
more.
my God.
That one right there. That looks like that looks like a Pokemon if it were
It's
a person.
dude in a
It's
wig.
not like a
Come
real
on.
thing. That's not a real human being. Can't be.
I think it's a dude.
It's a dude.
It's a
It has to be.
It's
That's-
covering.
it's a
It's
theater.
wearing the bandana to cover the Adam's apple. Come
Exactly.
on.
Oh,
it's
good
really
call. Good
bad.
call.
It's a theater production, one way or the other.
It is.
These are all former theater kids, by the way.
Current.
You can tell. Yeah.
It's simultaneously super easy to mock, but also heartbreaking.
It
these
is
are
sad.
these are kids who
Right.
just do not know who they are and are desperately searching for some sort of meaning and some sort of identity, and no one in their life is giving it to them.
Yeah.
Well,
'cause
someone
they don't
is.
have
It's just
Christ.
not good.
Yeah, it's just
Well,
not good.
that's
Yeah,
true.
But no, yeah, you're right. We should
Yeah.
pity
Mhm.
them.
So we got a few more seconds here.
Oh, dear God.
Their arguments are very convincing. I find myself starting to agree with them. While the F-offs, that's really convinced me.
I told PJ, I said, the more we continue to make him watch things like She-Hulk, one day he's going to come in and look like one of these individuals. It's going to be our
Holy
fault.
cow.
It's going to be our fault.
Ripcord,
This
thank you
is
for the super chat.
terrifying.
That's what I was saying. I don't like anyone who wants to threaten to close Gitmo. We need to expand it and fill it.
They're
And then nuke it from orbit. Once it's all filled up with the worst of the worst, all the world's baddies, then we can just...
But apparently, being against child mutilation centers makes you a fascist.
Oh,
Yeah, who'da
right.
thunk? Yeah.
Right.
Guess I'm a fascist
Well,
then.
Yeah,
yeah,
call me
we all are.
fascist.
Of all the
God.
co-opted words that make no sense, I feel like fascist is the most overdone of any of them.
That a Nazi?
Well, no, because
Not a
they're
Nazi,
the
but-
actual fascists that use that as the cudgel.
Right. That's kind of my point. Is like with the fascist Antifa, who has its roots in communism, like who are using fascist tactics. Like, yeah, the word means nothing.
Yeah.
At what point do we say, if it means this, then I'm not even going to fight it? I'm absolutely that. Go for it. Call me that.
Yeah, that's what I do. I say and.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's like
Okay.
being called a sexist today. I just say, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah.
Like
I
men
have-
and women are different. If that's your definition of sexism, 100%.
Then
I'm the
that's
I was
what
going to
most
say,
I
yeah,
am.
by their
person.
definition, call me whatever you want.
Right. By the
Exactly.
real definition, it bothers me because like I believe words matter and I
Yeah.
don't like to like there's part of me that doesn't want to give into their definitions.
Right.
But then the other side of me is like, you know what? If we're going by your stupid bullshit made up definition, I'm everything you say that I am, I guess.
Yeah, you don't have to give them the ground either. You can just say, yeah, you can call me what you want. It doesn't apply. And
Mhm.
words still matter. So whatever you're saying is nonsense.
Yeah.
I have one more
Not
terrible
you, but the
video I
proverbial
have to
you.
show you guys.
Mhm.
And that was a warm-up. That
Oh,
was a little
God.
practice
Oh,
run
no.
for you
It
guys.
gets worse.
It gets worse.
Now we're
It
just
gets
gonna
worse.
watch She-Hulk episode 9.
This right
No.
here is what happens when you become so desperate for attention, you do stuff like this. Let me go ahead and put it up
Wait,
here.
you have my yearbook? Oh, never mind.
That is Madonna.
What?
This
No,
is
it's
Madonna.
not.
Stop it. That's
Yeah.
Jeffree Star.
That is Madonna.
That is not. Is it really?
believe
What
I
happened to her face?
Well, I mean, I haven't recognized Madonna the last 5 times she was relevant for 4 seconds because of the
True.
No, that's
plastic
Desmond
surgery.
is amazing.
Ah! In the future. Oh my God.
No.
I'm gonna play
That
it.
poor child.
I'm not gonna play the sound because the sound has copyrighted music inside of it, so I'm not gonna play the sound. But I will play.
It's from Area 51.
Yeah.
Oh my god! What is this?
Frank,
Grandma,
stop. I'm a
please
married
stop.
man.
Stop embarrassing yourself, Grandma.
Ew.
At what point do we just label her as geriatric and put her in a home?
Wait, can you guys play that again a few more times?
No.
No.
I'll back up. Never mind.
She come out as non-binary, and everyone was like,
I mean, look, if
Did
your
she come
thing is
out
geriatric,
non-binary?
if your thing is geriatric
Oh,
alien porn, I
God.
guess, like that's
Oh my goodness.
Someone said it's a Madonna human suit.
Yeah, that was disturbing.
Honestly, she could have just paid someone to like do that because we don't know that was her.
fair point.
True body double, man. Shit.
Looks like a lizard person trying to be.
Yeah, it does.
Don't they
Oh.
all?
I spoke wrong. She came out as gay, allegedly.
I thought it was
that's
bi.
right. She's
Bi.
like, if
I don't know.
I make this,
Oh,
I'm
God.
gay or something like that, or if I don't make it,
What?
I'm gay. And she like threw her panties at like the
Oh
garbage can,
my
and then
goodness.
it go into the garbage can. So everyone presumed that she was saying that she was coming out to be gay, but I think it's just more of an attention grab than anything.
She's just
Yeah,
and they're
from
all
Madonna?
like that. They're
From Madonna
all like
attention
that.
grab from Madonna?
Oh,
Wait,
no,
no,
I've
I would
never.
say that isn't that pretty anti-gay of her if she's saying like, oh, it's as trivial as can I make my underwear? Can I
It
make this
is,
shot? If it
though.
is, I'll be gay.
So,
Every
And
so
then like
part
other
of
people are like, I'm
Madonna's
born this
personality.
way.
so is
Yeah.
that means a lifestyle then, right?
She's like, yeah, it's a switch. You can just flip it on and off. Turns
Every
out
part of
it's all a
Madonna's
lie.
personality is flippant and
It
yeah,
is all
meaningless.
alive.
Wait, so Kabbalah also isn't real?
Oh.
She did kiss a
Exactly.
gay guy. She did kiss Ricky Martin. Remember that back in the day?
Yeah.
Which really means that she was kissing his nephew, if you want to go there.
Yeah, that's so sad.
If a
Yeah.
woman kisses a gay guy, what sexuality does that make you?
Confused.
Fucked up.
Madonna.
Yes. There, I feel like a lot of these people are victims of like childhood abuse,
Yeah.
and you can tell, and it's very sad. But yeah, I think for a lot of these younger kids, it is as flippant as just throwing something and making a choice like that. They all have 14 different personality disorders. You know, they're
But it's
all their
trendy.
different how
Like,
they
that's the whole thing of it.
identify their identities. It's all bullshit. Yeah.
MK Sultra.
Ugh.
You'd think in her 90 years on this earth, she and her millions of dollars, she would have been able to get therapy by now, though. You know what I mean?
Someone
Yes.
needs to talk to her.
Maybe this is what therapy is doing for her. Maybe she's
Maybe.
doing her, her best work.
You know how you had the conspiracy theory about Britney Spears coming out every time Bush had did something? It was like a kind of a
Yeah.
cover. Maybe Madonna's the same thing for like the Democrat Party. Every time Biden's inflation or something, she comes out and does something like that.
I think
Remember the
legitimately.
bathtub video?
Wait, say that again.
The bathtub video she did during COVID, where she's
Which
like,
one?
"Oh, we're all equal now." You know,
Wait,
I think
Madonna or
she's just
Britney
insane.
Spears?
Right?
Madonna. The
So
bathtub
I
video.
like
Was
no
it,
joke. I
it-
legitimately think a lot of these people are exactly that. They are like, hey, this story looks really bad. Can we get some celebrity to do something really freaking crazy? They just got like a short list. Like there's like a speed dial of 9 people. It's like Britney Spears is on there, Madonna's on there, Nicki Minaj is on there.
She's putting it on the
Yeah, put it on the
conspiracy-
board. It's legit. I don't know.
Yeah, you know what? It's like the
on
whole
there.
MK Ultra.
There
What
it is.
MK Ultra could be exactly that, right? They could just say, okay, we're gonna flip the switch. We're gonna call that Hollywood-owned entity, and then sure enough, they
And
have
Wendy
a
Williams has a seizure on stage, and then you've got a new story.
yeah. And all they have to do is
Baldwin
flip
to
that little
kill somebody.
5G switch on the set of the show.
Can we get Alec Baldwin to kill somebody? That'll get the stories off the air.
And it's probably the attorney's wife that they've been threatening for a while. So 2 birds, 1 stone.
I mean, to Radix's point earlier, like you were talking about them renaming stuff. Like 1973 was the Church Commission, and that's where COINTELPRO and MK Ultra and all these things came out. And this was the second time that MK Ultra was shut down. It was shut down in 1963, and then it was also shut down in 1973. So like these things have
Yeah.
just been renamed and reused,
that
like just to
interesting?
avoid FOIA requests.
Yeah.
Like
Michael-
It's like that meme that says, you mean to tell me that the CIA has been evil in the 60s and the 70s and the 80s and the 90s and the early 2000s and now nothing's been changed and no
Shocking.
one's been punished, but now they don't do that anymore? And you're like, well,
Well, my
guess
favorite
not.
conspiracy theory is that the government had a mind control program and then stopped.
Exactly.
That's my favorite conspiracy. They just stopped.
Yeah, it's
When
not that
was
it worked. It's that they
when
just
was
stopped doing
the-
it.
When
Yeah.
was the Janet Jackson halftime show? Does anybody remember that?
Not
2000 and
not recent enough.
2006. It was like
six-ish.
I think it was 2006. It was a long
sounds
time
about
ago.
right.
it had to be something with the Iraq War, and they're like, "Hey,
it was
we
like-
need you
it was
to
like
rip off.
03.
We need to expose Janet Jackson's nipple at the halftime show."
I think it was like that.
That
it
was
was like
cool.
03 or 04 at the latest, because I
Yeah.
remember I was in 3rd grade when 9/11 happened, and I was in 5th grade when those precious moments of TV happened.
I like Salt. Thank you for the super chat. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was the most intentional, like remember when they tried to say it was a wardrobe malfunction?
It was to
Yeah.
the lyrics of the
Yeah.
song.
Yes.
He says, "I will have you naked" by the end of this song, and then post her
Boom.
Yeah, it was
boob
2004.
out.
Yeah.
2004.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Malfunction. Wardrobe malfunction, right?
What
Mhm.
a phrase to coin.
And now we have freaking OnlyFans.
Oh,
Think
God.
about
a
what a big deal that was back then, and now all of these girls just go on OnlyFans and say, "Okay, well, for $5."
So it's so pervasive in our culture that
Disgusting.
Rachel Dolezal has an OnlyFans.
Ah,
Oh, hey, everyone, don't forget, it's a 5-minute warning until last call. Am I getting this right?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Did we already say that?
Nope.
Cool.
there you go.
Yeah. Get your super chats in and we'll answer them all in the last 10 minutes.
I'm the one
of
who's
show.
not drinking, and I had to ask that. Sorry, go ahead.
All the female empowerment on OnlyFans has put millions and millions of dollars into the male owner's pocket.
Yeah.
So weird.
The
Leonid
patriarchy works in a
Radzinski.
weird way. When you
Yeah,
fight it, you just get naked for men, and that's
It
fighting
empowered
the patriarchy.
Those women to
Empowered.
make like a couple 100,000, but now they're like the sex slaves of the guy who's making millions, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So they feel
Leonid
empowered.
Boy.
I read
Weird-
an article
Disgusting.
recently about this too, where they were
Radzinski.
complaining. Don't they take like more than half of the whoever runs OnlyFans makes more money per person than
What's
the
his
person
name,
themselves
Radix?
make.
You said you know the name of it?
Leonid Radvinsky. He's a
It's a Russian
scumbag.
plot.
No, he's
Leonid
actually
Radvinsky.
Ukrainian. He's a
Oh, that's
Ukrainian.
even worse. Of course,
No
he's
kidding.
Ukrainian.
Yeah.
You mean the sex
Ukrainian
trafficking capital of the
American.
world? No shit.
Right, for children. And he created a website called like My Free Cam back in the day and had password hacking sites or something where they advertised preteen stuff.
Ukraine does make it very easy for Putin to look like the good guy. Do you see my
What do
point
you-
from
Yeah.
earlier? Like Ukraine is so bad that everybody's like, Putin's wonderful. It's like, well, Ukraine's
Well,
just
he's
really
not-
bad.
He's trying to save those people from the worst. So it's like
Doing
almost like,
things
what are you
to
going to do?
kids.
You're
Right.
not saving the Donbass, so let him. But
I-
I'm
that-
wondering this: would the guy who owns the OnlyFans? I mean, there are a lot of American women who put their stuff on OnlyFans, and they'd never know it if they also sold it as like a cam show. Only it never really was in Ukrainian or in Russian. Like, could they not just take?
Right. And
And
how many of these girls are underage? How many of these
Mm-hmm.
girls are not even doing this freely of their own will? Who's taking these pictures, right? Have you ever seen
There-
some of these images?
Never in
where
my life, but I
someone
want to know
else is
who's surveilling
obviously
them.
taking those pictures? It's not like they're holding the phone
to your
or they have some kind of tripod. I don't believe that.
To your point, Radix, this week, Amaranth said that she was being basically held captive by her boyfriend to make OnlyFans
Oh, I
content.
remember that. Yeah.
And OnlyFans
Yeah.
doesn't delete her account and go, oh, hey, you know what? This is morally, I mean, not everything is morally disgusting and wrong, but they don't even take like when it's publicly shoved at them and everybody's looking at this going, oh yeah, Amaranth is actually a sex slave and you're profiting off of her. And like nobody does anything about it.
Well,
No
this
big
is
deal.
my
Nobody bats
question
an
then:
eye.
is how many people you've heard like the zip ties on the car door thing when people are being watched to be trafficked? How many of them are on OnlyFans? How many people are watching
Exactly.
the numbers on
Trafficking
OnlyFans going,
victims.
this girl posts every day at this time. She's always alone at this hour. She's always filming between these hours. And then they, OnlyFans has access to how many different pieces of data because they have an app and a phone and whatever else.
Yes.
If they sell that in Ukraine and they send people here, now you're not seeing, what is it? The Taken, where they go to
Right.
Europe and get kidnapped. Now you're seeing Europeans come here and do the same thing. And they're probably coming through the southern border.
Well, also, it was only within the last 2 years that we found out that Pornhub worked with Visa and MasterCard and a
Yes.
few others to cover up the fact that they were posting underage content on their
CP.
websites and they knew about it.
And
And
we still have that issue
assault
on
victims.
places like Twitter and
Right.
Facebook where they are posting underage porn and stuff on there.
Twitter refuses to take down RP and CP.
But at
Yes.
least they took me down for calling Elliot Page a woman.
Well, there you go. That's
And
their
Ellen Page, sorry,
priorities.
Ellen Page, a
Yeah,
woman.
they took me down for calling Mary Trump a tard. So I mean,
That's
She
retarded.
is.
I lost my original account because I called Mary Trump a
Oh
tard.
my god, that's so funny.
You're not wrong.
So I appeal every time I appeal every week. And the last one I appealed, I said, "Hey, Elon's about to lay off 75% of you. Why don't you go ahead and make it a little easier for the 25% that's going to be left, and go ahead and
Exactly.
reinstate my account." And it's shocking they don't
Of course.
reinstate it. So.
Pumpkin wine tonight. Thank you, Ocean Breeze
Pumpkin
Salty.
Oh my
Wine?
god, that sounds disgusting.
I'm surprised that tough talking the people at the social media DARPAs doesn't help that.
Right?
Yeah.
Thanks, Frank.
Yeah, who would have thought? I might get a visit by a windowless black van at some point, and we won't have to show you. But you're like, "Where's Frank at?"
That'll
I
just
haven't
be-
seen him.
That'll just be me visiting Frank.
He must be playing golf.
My comfort, and when this all goes to crap, my views are right out there, really loud. They're gonna shoot me first, and I'm not even gonna have to worry about it.
Me too. I'll be lined up pretty quickly.
I was banned for calling Maxine a lying racist douchebag.
Nice.
Again, I don't see the problem here.
Neither do I.
Where's the lie?
Yeah.
So we have
PayPal's
made
coming for you next. Sorry, go ahead.
we've made it the last call, which means this is your time to have your questions answered by our guest that we have here tonight, and answered some of your super questions that you guys have sent our way as well. Let's go ahead and put a couple of these on the screen here. First one for Radix here. It says, "Is that a pinball machine in the background?"
Yes, Adam's family. You know
Nice.
Nice.
it. Yes.
That's funny.
It's
That's awesome.
awesome. It's probably the coolest one like ever. Yes, it's really cool.
That's
I
cool.
like it.
Spooky.
That's cool.
Mhm.
All right, thank you, Waffle Salter. Another one says, "Seems to be too vertical for a pinball machine. Fruit machine baby," is what their guess was on that behind you.
I was going to compliment the perspective on the camera, but now I see what they're talking about. Yeah, it looks a little.
No, that's really cool. Like, it makes my guitars in the background look weak in comparison as far as background images go.
In my comic
we've-
books that I have framed behind
What?
Tom had to show me up with a space shuttle, which, now we got that.
No, I don't
Corina
like mine
says,
anymore. I have to redo it.
"You look like the judge from the Christmas parade trial."
Guys, I'm not 42. You want to get slapped?
That's rude.
That was mean.
No, Judge Jen is a very pretty woman.
Willing to lie.
Waffle Salter came in with $25 earlier. Said, "Pubcasters look thirsty, and here's to the pinball."
You love to see it.
Thank you,
you
Waffle
so much.
Salter.
And of course, Movie Dog came in with $5 and nothing to say, just supporting. We do appreciate
Aw,
Movie
that's
Dog.
nice.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Sometimes
Next
the
one.
silent support is the most important.
That's right.
Yeah, exactly.
Waffle Salter also came in and said, "Objection."
Objection. True international for the pressure.
We can't say it, so it's good you can.
Ripcord says, "We need to fill Gitmo."
We
So
do.
Amen.
true.
It's
Yeah, I'm-
there.
I second this.
I Like Salt came in with $5 for Abby to drink.
Thank you. No,
Your eyes look like my favorite donuts, glazed.
Aw.
So it's going
Waffle Salter came in with 50. Says, "Hunter is taking the pictures," referring back to the Ukrainian stuff.
Nice.
Yeah.
good. There's a link
probably.
there. There's a
There's
link
a
there.
connection.
There is. There is.
Leonid Zanevsky. What was his name?
Leonid Radvinsky.
Hmm,
I want
Vladimir
y'all to-
Zelensky.
Look that up. Make that part of your lexicon.
What about Vladimir Zelensky?
One
We
more time,
need
just so I'm
to-
not, because I'm a little slow. Leonid
Leonid Radvinsky.
Radvinsky.
Rad-
Okay, it's in there now.
Yeah, that's right. And I think we need to boycott OnlyFans and get it shut down because I believe it's used for trafficking
I've been boycotting
and
since
underage
the
girls. And there's
inception of it.
actually
Right.
an
Yeah,
FBI.
who's
By the
using it?
way, did you guys know that he's under FBI investigation? OnlyFans has been under FBI
means protection.
investigation since June of
Exactly.
2021.
Exactly.
That means
allegedly.
protection, though, right? In this racket, in
Exactly,
today's
that's
world,
what
if
it
they're
means.
investigating, it means they're
Yeah.
protecting or setting up
Right.
for a railroad.
Well,
Like they
they can-
protected Larry Nasser.
They can keep
Yeah.
an investigation open indefinitely, so they're investigating. which means no one else gets to look into them because the
Racket.
FBI is.
PJ, we
protecting
can't
them.
comment on ongoing investigations.
Yeah, that's right.
When anytime they ask anything, like, what
Right,
about Epstein?
exactly.
We can't comment on any ongoing investigations.
Oh, we burned down his island. Whoops, there goes the evidence. That was a mistake. Honest mistake.
Ocean Breeze Salty came in with $2. Says pumpkin wine tonight. Cheers. I've
okay.
never heard of pumpkin wine.
Legit Ocean Breeze Salty. Is it
No.
good though? I'm curious. Because there's some pumpkin beers that are fantastic. So I don't know. I'm not a wine drinker, but
I traded a half a dozen eggs from the backyard with a lady at work, not at work, but she comes into the office
She
enough.
gave you pumpkin wine.
At the she brought in a loaf of pumpkin bread that she made,
Oh.
and because she told me she
Pumpkin
was
bread's
bringing it,
good.
so I brought her some eggs and a little surprise.
That's
There you go.
nice.
Like-
So we're
little
gonna see how that
bartering. I
tastes
like that.
later. Yeah,
I like the
uh-huh.
bartering system. We have to
Yeah.
bring this
Yeah.
back, guys.
When the
Trying to
phones
do
no
that
longer
with
work.
my-
Yeah.
Trying to do that with my garden too. We grow too many zucchinis, so we usually trade them for like tomatoes and other things with like family members. So.
Yeah, we would do that with our eggs as well. We would trade for stuff as well.
Yeah,
With
Nice.
our
that's what
eggs.
you gotta do.
North
I like
America Coffee Company, Rob says Radix, explain the handle. He might not have been at the very beginning of the show.
Frank, it's been 2 hours and you have not ever chosen which one to pronounce it. You do both every time. Radix.
It's also North Arrow Coffee Company.
What did I say?
You said North America, so I'll just say this real quick.
Aw,
God.
I'm gonna pull a Kanye here. I'll let you finish, but first, North Arrow Coffee Company is the greatest coffee company known to man. If you go to northarrowcoffee.co and use code PJ10, you get 10% off your order.
There you go.
Maybe I should
Um,
switch to North Arrow Coffee Company instead of Red Bull.
If you use
Yes.
code, I'll finish for
Coffee's
you, Abby.
better for
If you use code
you.
Abby10, you get 10% added to your price. You want to use the code PJ10.
That's the wage gap. That's the whole gender gap they talk
Rude.
about.
Gender wage gap. Yeah, should be 73%. Or I don't know how it works, but yeah,
Yeah, but the
37%.
it's Latin for the root of truth, which is from a lot years ago on the internet. When I picked it and it stayed with me.
This question was for me, I guess. What did they say you were banned for? Tard, hate speech, or ableist? Hate
Oof.
speech.
What?
Yes, hate speech.
That's hate
Yeah.
speech?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Calling
'cause they
Mary
can't-
Tard.
They can't prove that the person's not retarded, but they can prove that you meant it in a mean way.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, they know your intent. They can read
The,
your
the
mind.
weirdest. Sorry, go ahead.
I just was gonna say to the person who put that there, I like your handle, Ocean Breathe Salty, Modest Mouse. You love to see it.
So the weirdest hate speech thing I ever got on a platform was saying that it was not racist for Tom Brady to win a Super Bowl during February,
What?
considering every single Super Bowl ever is held in February, which is also Black History Month.
Not in the
Oh,
early.
right.
not in
Oh,
the
but
70s,
you were-
the
but the
70s were in,
context was that-
January.
The context was you were saying it was he's going to win it versus the black quarterback.
All I said basically was that it was not racist for him to, yeah. But that was it was Kamala
And
Harris.
it's Black History Month at the same time. Was that
That's
the
what the
other
argument
part of the
was.
joke?
There you go.
Okay.
That's what
You
the
know,
argument
black
was.
people
problem.
get the shortest month of the year, right?
Kamala,
I'm a detective. We'll put this together.
Kamala Harris's niece
Pride-
said that it was racist for Tom Brady to beat a black quarterback during Black History Month.
That's ridiculous.
Pride
and
Month,
right.
nonsensical.
Pride Month is a larger month than Black History. You just know where the victimhood status goes.
Oh, it's absolutely.
Yeah, but they don't
Yeah,
have-
Olympics.
They have a lot of bronze statues going up around the country of George Floyd. I don't see like that too many of them of Milk, Harvey Milk, or any of
Yeah,
those other
yeah,
people.
We didn't
Great.
know we have a warship that's Harvey Milk now.
Okay,
Oh,
yeah,
that's
but like
even worse.
they give them a gay warship and send it out into the Pacific
Guys,
where no
But,
one
like,
will see
the Harvey
it.
Milk
I
thing's
mean,
even worse because not only is he not, it's not that he's a gay icon, it's that he's a pederast.
Yes.
Well, I mean, I didn't. You know, we were not going to go there. I mean,
No,
George
I'm going
Floyd
there,
wasn't
like,
no
the whole
hero
map
either.
thing.
That wasn't the point.
Exactly.
Sure, but my point is like the whole map thing is becoming like a
Oh,
protected
God.
That's their next
class
step.
now.
The
Yeah,
guys
Wait,
it
so
is.
we have a
Whoa.
USS Milk and he was a pedo?
Gosh dang, I forgot about that story, but you're right.
No,
Yeah.
our new flag is the pride flag, and then it's the American flag, and then it's the state flag.
Did
for
we see
whatever
the new
state you're in,
Microsoft
so.
Pride flag? Because
Oh,
we
do you
should do
have
a
it?
whole
Get
segment
it.
on
I
that.
have it.
Get it.
Oh, I
Pull
thought I
it up,
had
pull
it
it up
somewhere.
before we go.
Oh
We gotta
my
pull
that
it up.
God.
Reality being shattered. That's what it looks like on screen.
Yeah, Ocean
Modest
Breeze
Mouse.
Salty says, "Yep, not too many people know it is MM, Modest Mouse."
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how
Yeah, we got
roll
we have
here.
a smart guest here with us this week.
No
I
one
never
puts
got
that together
that
with Float
reference.
On. That's okay though.
No, I actually got that
no.
with Float On, but like I don't listen to enough Modest Mouse to get the other reference.
What? What's wrong with you?
They're
Well,
fine. I just
he
never listened to
watches-
them a lot.
He watches Bros. That's what's wrong with him.
Aw.
I've always been a metalhead, I guess, maybe. So I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
You
I'm
have
try-
it there.
oh, here we go.
Yeah.
Here we go. Here we go. I got it. So here is the new pride flag
This is
from Microsoft.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty.
What?
So I like this
is
legitimately,
gonna give
if
me
you
a
guys don't remember
headache.
this was a joke not that long ago. Someone actually made something almost like this as
Was
a
it the
joke.
Babylon B?
I actually don't think it was. So the Babylon B did another, there's another, man, I don't know. Maybe the Babylon
Honestly,
B
it
did
looks
this
like
one.
a fifth grader's binder. It looks like someone like did a bunch of
like a
construction
kaleidoscope.
and then it's like I took stickers and just slapped
I
them
feel
on
like I'm going
after.
to get a seizure because of it.
Do you guys
I
remember?
I know.
Do you guys remember 2 months ago when there was that one where it was like a Parcheesi board or like a shuffleboard looking thing where it was like a triangle of the pride flag and then on either side it was blue and yellow and it was like the Ukraine was added in the pride flag and then no, I'm not joking. So that part was that part was satire, and then within a week, someone made it legit and was like claiming it, like someone within the I don't know LGBTQIDGAF community like made it a thing. So
Yeah.
stop trying to make fetch a thing. It's not going to be a thing.
They're just mocking us at this point.
They're trolling us. They are.
Aw.
Well, I think it's just that they always have been. Now we're realizing it.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness. Well, we have reached the end of our show tonight with our fantastic guest that's been here. I'm going to give her a minute or two here so she can go ahead and tell you where you guys can find her. Make sure you go subscribe to her and all those links. If you can, PJ, if you can throw that up in the chat again, and I'll give her the main
Aw.
screen.
How cute. Yeah, you can subscribe to my Substack. I'm pretty sure it's just radixverum.substack.com. And my YouTube channel is Radixverum. On that YouTube channel, you should see my Liberty links. So you'll find where I'm at on all kinds of other platforms. But yeah, that's it.
Nice. And what's your big scope that you've been covering on your channel lately?
Oh, I have so many things going on. I try to focus a lot lately on like the FBI because I have like a personal vendetta now about the Michigan thing, and I'm going to destroy
yeah.
them, and I'm going to name them all. Every single one of them that was involved in the Michigan hoax, from Charles Story, the man who signed off on a terrorism enterprise investigation, all the way down to people like Heinrich and Paula. You're all going to be named and shamed. So, but I think the most important project I'm working on is the documentary on the Whitmer hoax. I'm working with Brandon Caserta, one of the guys who was acquitted. And I think it's important that we tell that story. They're now turning it into a TV show called The Michigan Plot with the people that made Ally McBeal and Entourage.
I'm surprised they didn't get the
the
director
worst.
of She-Hulk to go ahead and
I
help.
was going to
direct
say,
that.
they're
Yeah,
trying to
they're
go for the
gonna
worst
be-
in television.
They'll be next, and they're gonna try, I'm sure, to pretend that this was like actually a thing.
It's too bad that they're up against the cops from Making a Murderer.
Yeah.
Radix,
Again.
we would love to have you back on the Pubcast in the future. So you are always welcome back. And especially
thank
once you
you.
get closer to finishing up your project, you like to come on and talk about it, promote it. We would love to have you on to
Yeah, we need a new
Absolutely.
update immediately. We
Yeah.
need to know
Yeah.
as soon as possible all the names.
Yeah, we're gonna name them.
Yeah.
But I don't even know how long this is. Oh, we've got another Michiganer. Yeah. Okay. So, I don't know how long it'll take to finish. I want to get it done quickly, but it's such a massive. There's so many documents. I just got the transcripts yesterday, and it's like there's thousands of pages of documents to go through it all. I'm like literally one person working by myself. That's it. So it probably will be 6 months to a year before
Well, we're
it's
rooting for
done.
you. And it's
Yeah.
been
Absolutely.
fun to catch up with you and to hear about it. So thanks again for coming on.
Yeah,
Thank
thanks.
you.
Absolutely. So we're going to head get out of here for tonight. Thank you so much for everyone tuning in. Don't forget to tip your waitresses and waiters. This was a fun night. Hopefully you guys will be joining us back here next Saturday when we have Chandler Crump will be joining us for the next Pubcast. But until then, I hope you guys have a great evening. And forever, all the hosts here, we'll see you guys next Saturday. Hope you guys have a fantastic week. I'll see you guys soon. All right, guys, let's get out of here.
All right.
Outro.